Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh yeah, the patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text HIM to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text HIM to 321-321. That's HIM to 321-321.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Partly sunny skies will continue as we go through our Tuesday afternoon. Big old dome, high pressure sitting over us. 45 should do it for our topper today. Tonight, more clouds around 28. Wednesday, lots of sunshine and a chilly 42 degrees. A little breezy northwest wind. Wednesday night, partly cloudy 25, and Thursday, sunny and 38, increasing clouds during the day on Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
I'm embarrassed to say this. I've been using deodorant on my armpits for 30 years, and anytime I noticed odor anywhere else, I thought I needed another shower, I wasn't clean, or I felt like there was something wrong with me. And then my gynecologist told me about Lumi. It's a whole body deodorant for pits, feet, and privates that controls odor anywhere and everywhere on your body. Since Lumi, I never have to worry about body odor ever again, anywhere on my body. And that reassurance is worth every penny.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code PENNY and get an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack that comes with a solid stick, cream tube, free product of your choice, and ships free with code PENNY. LUME deodorant.com, code PENNY for an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack. Love it or return it for free. That's LUME deodorant.com, code PENNY. LUME deodorant.com, code PENNY. That's LUME deodorant.com, code PENNY.
Hey homeowners, it's time to transform your house into a masterpiece with Lakeside Renovation and Design, your James Hardie siding experts. Picture this, durable, weather-resistant siding that doesn't just protect, but elevates your home's value and curb appeal. James Hardie, the gold standard in siding, installed by the pros at Lakeside. Say goodbye to maintenance headaches and hello to a home that stands the test of time. Ready for a siding upgrade? Lakeside Renovation and Design is your go-to. Visit our showroom or call today. Unleash the potential of your home with James Hardie Siding.
You couldn't pick a worse time to sell your home. Sure, your home is worth a small fortune right now, but are you really going to swap your 2 or 3% current interest rate and pay 7 or 8% interest on a new house? No way. You don't have to with the Get Paid and Stay program from Truehold. This is ingenious. With the Get Paid and Stay program, Truehold will buy your home now at its best current value. You bank the cash and stay in your home until interest rates come back down or as long as you like. It's your call. Plus, you won't have to pay property taxes, insurance, or upkeep anymore. Truehold pays those expenses. Learn about Truehold's Get Paid and Stay program. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without having to move. That's 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com.
Staples Print Big Sale means the more you print, the more you save. Get $20 off your print purchase of 100 or more, 50 off your print purchase of 200 or more, and 100 off your print purchase of 300 or more. Ends 2/10/24. See staples.com/print for details. Print more, save more at Staples.
The Annie Frey Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
And welcome in. Happy New Year to you. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Annie Frey. It's the Manny Frey Show today. I think that's what you guys call it. And I found out on Friday that even when Ryan Wiggins is not in the building, they still play your special intro.
You know what's
which
amazing?
I thought they only reserved when you were there.
I did not know that either until Friday. I found that out because I heard through the grapevine that it happened and that you were talking about it, and I wasn't there. So sorry about that.
I know, it's such a great intro. I remember when you guys played it for me, not on a Friday. What a special, rare occasion that was. But now we are in 2024. I'm in Michigan now, and the University of Michigan Wolverines winning in the Rose Bowl last night was pretty exciting. So there's a lot of happy people up here. So I got to say, it's not a bad day. And, happy Epstein list day to you as well.
Thank you very much. And same to you.
Almost think I would forget. Yes, happy Epstein list day. I don't think the official list or the documents have been released just yet, but they could potentially come out at any moment now. And there's a lot of people that I can't wait to see it myself. In fact, I want to know all the names on the list. And I know that, of course, the one marquee name, Bill Clinton, was on there, 50 times through the documents, something along those lines. So they released what his John Doe number was.
Oh, no.
And it's not going to look so good for him. I keep thinking about this list. And is there a way you could be on this list and still be able to keep a public face, or is it over for you? Because is Donald Trump on this list too then? Then what happens to him?
Yeah, I think the answer is that the more you're on it, the harder it's going to be. Because it's possible that if you were just a rich person and you were hanging out with rich people and you got invited to go to some rich guy's island, you could have gone and not known exactly what you were getting into. However, if you went and then did it over and over again, it seems like
it's a little more
the likelihood of you knowing would go up every single time.
But the other side of that is, though, too, if you went and let's say you, and I don't know what this list is. Is this a flight log or is this a guest list of the island? I mean, if it's a flight log, it doesn't necessarily mean you went to the island either. But like you're saying, Ryan, if you only went one time, I mean, doesn't that kind of, shouldn't you see something, say something at that point? If you were on the island, you're like, oh, this isn't good. Maybe I need to speak up.
Yeah, I think that's a mix. So I think it's mostly court documents that reveal the flight logs. So when you go through the documents, it's a lot of testimony. And in part of the testimony, they just say John Doe as they redact it to not release the person's official name. But in this case, you're actually going to be able to find out who the John Does are in these documents. So maybe there's like there's a flight log. Maybe there's like an actual log of names that go into this court document, I guess, ironically speaking. But when we go through the 200 names or so that are connected with it, and Bill Clinton's on there 50 times, I'm sure he's seen something. I'm sure he's done things. And there's the story about Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein down in, was it Mar-a-Lago? Do you remember that story?
I remember hearing
this goes back some time ago. I'll just paraphrase. Essentially, he was being creepy to one of the waitresses, and then Donald Trump essentially banned him and said, you're never coming back. And because the dad raised a ruckus, like, what's this old creepy dude being, all creepy to my daughter? And them both, I think it was the dad and the daughter both worked at the Mar-a-Lago at the time. So I guess apparently he was banned and never communicated with again, essentially was put on the blacklist after this surfaced, his actions surfaced. So I guess in the case of Donald Trump, being that's true, and I think that's pretty well documented as being true, the people that happened to came out and also said that was true. I think that pretty much shows that any rational person that may have witnessed something going on, either on the plane or on the island, would have immediately have done something about it. And it makes you wonder who's the ones that didn't and how many times were they on there. And what a creep this Jeffrey Epstein is to begin with. In all things considered, isn't it amazing that in today's world that people like that can exist and operate for as long as they operate? That blows my mind.
I think we can all agree that no matter who's on the list and no matter why, all of them should be deeply investigated. No matter who it is, no political affiliation, it doesn't matter. Every single person associated with underage child sex trafficking in any way, and look, they could be completely exonerated, but they should all be investigated as long as we would trust the investigations. Because that's my thing, is that they might say, oh, yes, we're going to investigate, but these are the most powerful people in the world. In the world. Do we really believe that they're going to be investigated the same as anybody else? That's why we're in the situation where you're in right now, that they haven't been yet.
I mean,
there's like a scale of embarrassment with this, right? So there's like a light end and a heavy end, and you just don't want to be on the heavy end if you are listed on that whatsoever. And I've never once been invited on a private plane, but I never thought that if I was invited on a private plane, that there would be something very illegal going on that thing. Like at this point, if someone says, hey, do you want to hop on my private plane? The back of my mind thinks, is Delta not good enough for you? Like, what are you doing on this plane that you don't want other people seeing?
Well, also, though, wouldn't you think, man, if there's a super, super rich person and they run in very super rich, ultra wealthy circles and they want to take you out to a private island, my initial thought before all this broke, my initial thought would be, dang, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was just sitting here thinking about the whole plane thing. If somebody offered me, like, hey, I know you need to go to Texas for whatever reason, we're going to fly you out there on our private plane. I'm saying, yes, I'd rather fly private than commercial. Now.
Now you go, wait a minute, there's a history here.
And you're taking me to the private island where they hunt people for sport. Now, what was it? There was the one story that came out, and I apologize if I'm getting the wrong corporation, but I think it was General Electric, and their head apparently flew on a private plane, but also had a second private plane follow them in case his plane broke down so he wouldn't be disrupted in his flight. So they would be able to land, hop on the second backup plane that was trailing them, and then continue on their way in case something happened. Tell me that is just a whole different world of luxury.
That's a different level of money right there.
Well, I guess, I mean, if you have to land and then switch planes, that's one thing. If you're going to do it midair, I'd kind of have some respect for it.
I saw that one on what was that movie with Steven Seagal?
Mission Impossible 5?
No. The one where they get on the plane.
Steven Seagal.
Yeah, they get on the plane via the stealth bomber, and then they have to
jump planes.
Yeah. Or was it Air Force One that it was Air Force One, wasn't it? Where they zip line from plane to plane.
No, I don't remember.
That was the first time I think that phrase has ever been uttered on radio. What was that one Steven Seagal movie where
they zip line from plane to plane?
Yeah. I'll have to look. They're two different movies, but I think they zip lined on Air Force One.
Oh man, that sounds pretty dangerous.
This one's out of cocktail olives. Let's go to that one.
Yeah, I need a martini.
Yeah, no kidding. We're switching. You guys want to get out of here? Let's go to the other plane. Let's go. This plane's boring. Hook up the zip line. Now, why wouldn't they use one of the giant inflatable slides? Wouldn't that be a little bit more economical?
That's a great question.
You'd just be able to inflate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing flapping in the air. There was another story, and being that it is the new year, you hear about the crime that happens during New Year's to New Year's Day, and a lot of times it's a crackdown on the roadways. You have a bunch of drunk drivers, impaired drivers, high drivers going out there, and they hurt other people, and they think they can get away with it or whatever it is, and ultimately they do not. Now, one of the things that St. Louis has been plagued with are these short-term rentals, these Airbnb style places where you can rent a house or an apartment. A lot of times, if it's an apartment, the owner of that apartment complex really doesn't know that you're renting these things out. They just know that, hey, you are the tenant, and they don't know that you give the option to someone else to temporarily take it over. So you get these people from who knows where, they come in and they realize, you know what, I can probably do this without, very little repercussion. So they party up, they destroy the place, they just terrorize the neighbors. And really they leave a complete mess, and everyone hates these rentals all the way around them. And this seems all too often where the people come into these rentals and it goes beyond partying. And in this case, these short-term rentals, they come in and they start firing guns like a lot of people do on New Year's Eve. And then other cars get hit, people get hit, homes get hit. In this case, a St. Louis home riddled with bullets during short-term rental party. I don't think I've ever been tempted to take one of these short-term rentals, like if I'm traveling on a vacation or something like that, mostly because I hear all the horror stories and I know that people around them absolutely hate you for coming in and renting these things. But at this point, it seems like there's more harm than good with any of these rentals in major cities. It seems like the convenience factor is completely offset with all the other crime and hooliganism that comes with it, if that's even a word. At this point, I think the city has tried to shut down these short-term rentals for a while. It's never happened. Is it at the point where they just got to do it? Like they just have to put their foot down and say, we're done. None of these short-term rentals on holidays or these parts where it's used specifically to party because it's just being a menace to society?
No, I think it's the exact opposite. The libertarian version of this would be that the government should have no say over your own private property. Now, here's where the government can get involved and has. When you start having situations like this where people are renting this out, not just for themselves, but they're having parties and they're doing things that affect not just that property, they affect the neighbors, then it's overstepping the boundaries and you have to get involved. So this is where, but I don't think the party thing is as big of a deal. The governments are using it to try to get involved because they don't like having rentals in the middle of normal neighborhoods because it does kind of disrupt the neighbors a little bit. But libertarian says, don't touch it. This is private property. You can't tell them what to do.
The government likes to regulate whatever they can
Yes.
regulate. They do like to get their hands on this. It's my understanding, though, that this store, like the police were called out because of a noise complaint, but then later on in the night, a drive-by shooting happened, and they shot. Like I saw some video from it, and they shot up the house pretty good.
Right. Okay. Here's the median point. If you want to look at the libertarian thing, how about they change the laws that if you don't recognize the people coming in and out and they're too loud, you get to bear mace them one time without repercussion.
Yeah, I think that's
as the
fine.
neighbor, only as the neighbor. You can't come in as a guest and do it. Only the neighbors are allowed to do it.
Right. Yeah, I think that's fine. There should be a little bit of a
warning shot.
Yeah. Yeah, just spray it in the air.
Just fog the air.
Yeah.
Two blasts in the air. That'll do it. What did Joe Biden
Step out on your back porch.
This is a big question, though, that's going to have to be answered, not just in major cities, but everywhere. Every city is having to deal with whether they are hands-off and they allow Airbnb / whatever, VRBO and all the others to operate freely, which would be ideal. But then it does bring extra problems to usually that street, and the neighbors don't like it.
It's an interesting thing. It's like, where does your right stop and the other person's rights begin? So if that Airbnb is driving your property value down and you own the property there, Airbnb is a fairly new thing. Does the person have the right to do whatever they want with their property, but it destroys your property because you're not going to be able to sell it because this guy has turned his property into a party house? I don't.
It's a real concern.
The question of like libertarian versus not libertarian is it's not no government, but to what extent? And to me, it's so interesting that these new places have this idea. They've created these new there is a place for regulation. It's just how much.
Okay, let's put it this way. So let's say essentially if you have this property, you're treating it like a business, and it's not zoned as a business, but you're treating it like a business, a short term, and they're trying to skirt the laws that way. So it would be like your neighbor, let's say they open up a business and next door your neighbor's like, you know what, I'm going to start selling pot out of my house because it's legal now. So I'm just going to have a bunch of people coming in and out buying pot all day, and this is where they're going to go. I would be pretty upset. Like I wouldn't want that happening next door. I know that renting for people to stay a night is a little bit more innocent than that, sure. But let me move away from that point because I probably shouldn't have even said that. It's just kind of being well, how about this? Isn't it there's a little bit of irony in place with these large cities, the large cities that say they want to get rid of these single home dwellings and they want to move towards multi-home buildings. And because they say, number one, it's too expensive and you're taking up too much land and you need to be able to accommodate for more people. The housing's an issue. So you need to be able to fit as many people as possible on a plot of land. So we need the multi-home levels. Isn't there a little bit of irony for some of these cities coming back and then saying that, well, actually, we don't want the multi-use on these anymore. We don't want you to be able to use it like it is a multi-use because, it's causing such a disturbance. But in reality, all these cities that are saying that we want the multi-use don't recognize that they're causing a disturbance by it.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, that we want to have these available to more people. But the more people use them, the more you're like, we don't really want that many people.
Turns out we were wrong.
Nobody's
I think
ever
there is some
wrong.
irony there.
Yeah.
And I think places like Seattle, where they even try to change laws to make it very difficult for you to buy a plot of land and put a single home on that land, because they say that housing is such a problem right now that they have to solve it by putting up apartments or multi-complexes or affordable housing or whatever it is. So that makes it a little bit more difficult, I think. in the argument for saying that you shouldn't be allowed to do something like this, and Airbnb be one of them. But even if it is a temporary thing, but nonetheless, I don't want to live next to an Airbnb. Does anyone here want that? Like, I would hate that if my neighbors are Airbnbs. It would just drive me nuts.
I don't know that I would love it, but I also would have a real tough time internally processing that the government should get involved in it.
Well, this is kind of like the HOA thing. I am radically anti-HOA. Like, I am going to hate every minute of you having your old washing machine sitting in your front yard next to your couch in your front yard with your 3-foot tall grass. But that's your 3-foot tall grass, and that's
I know.
wash.
Well,
I'm
how
like,
about,
oh,
no,
please be nice to me.
get rid of it. I know. But the other thing is like the homeless situation. Like, let's say you live in a big city and they set up Tent City in front of your house with syringes and poop. And that's like the public land, that little piece of grass and the sidewalk. And you're like, well, I guess the libertarian in me says that the homeless are allowed to shoot up in front of my kids. I don't think that either. I think maybe that's a little bit extreme, but this is almost like the Airbnb is the same to me in a way. It may seem strange for me to say that, but it's kind of the same.
It's interesting because in your example, though, the difference to me is it's not that's not their property. That's public property. That's everybody's property. And that's the area that the government does have the right to regulate.
And shooting up isn't legal except in Portland.
Oh, yeah. It's California mostly, just that giant state. I was looking at it more as the inconvenience factor for the people living there. Brad, are you saying there's some breaking news coming out now?
Yeah, it looks like the Harvard president is going to resign.
Claudine Gay, Harvard University president Claudine Gay, will resign amid allegations of plagiarism, according to news reports. So the plagiarism is the angle that they're taking here. But obviously, all of this has happened after her comments in front of Congress. Yeah.
Well, what she did was she made those comments in front of Congress, and she got everybody looking at her. And then they started going through her papers like, oh, here's a little plagiarism here. And they're like, it's kind of a mistake. And it's like, well, this was in an era when it wasn't easy to accidentally plagiarize. And then they found some more. And then they found some more.
And then they found that other people brought it up against her to begin with, and she used it and she weaponized her power in order to try to stop people that were calling her out for plagiarism. How about that? All right. I guess they did the right thing there, but it's so funny. You can hate Jews, and that's not a problem. But the minute you steal someone else's work and you're in high authority, then that's the problem at Harvard. Wow, that's something else. All right, we're going to keep an eye out for that Epstein list. Happy Epstein list day to you, too. And by the way, after the break, there was one of those Bill Maher sit-down interviews where they basically sit in a dark, dungy kind of area, everything like they smoke and stuff. So it was Bill Maher and Seth MacFarlane said a couple of things about Trump and Biden I wanted to replay and get your reaction to. I'm Ryan Recker filling in. Don't forget to go vote in the YouTube live chat poll. We'd like to see you on there. 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, my name's John Lee.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
You hardly ever saw Granddaddy down here. They only come a town about twice a year.
Now, if you're looking to make sure that your retirement is going to be everything that you hoped it was going to be, and you're very close to that retirement, have you called Thomas Helbig yet? Have you reached out to the Retirement Advisory Group yet? I want to encourage you to do so. It's simple by calling 314-993-9494. 314-993-9494. You can visit them online to learn more about the Retirement Advisory Group by going to retirementkey.com. And you can answer some questions like these. Are you nearing retirement and wondering how long your money will last? Or are you worried about losing your nest egg in the next market correction? When you contact the Retirement Advisor Group, they will help you build your own personalized, structured income plan. And it takes that worry out of retirement. And everything I've heard about retirement, I'm not there yet, but everything I've heard about it, it's just kind of like the doors open to those dreams that you've had and that you've saved. You've worked your butt off and you've saved. Now you want to make sure it's there to enjoy the way you planned. It starts with the Retirement Advisory Group, 314-993-9494, retirementkey.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gsl.honorflight.org. And for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
The annual Cardinals Care Winter Warm-Up is back at Busch Stadium in Ballpark Village, January 13th through the 15th. We want you to be there. Mark Cox here. Listen all week for your chance to win and experience the unofficial kickoff of the 2024 baseball season.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back. All right. We're going to look at a couple of comments that I've seen circulating around. The Dave Chappelle has a new special. It came out a couple of days ago. I was going to play a clip from that. And, of course, there's backlash to it. It's kind of fascinating. I think about some of the defenses of Dave Chappelle. Let's start here first. I was going to do the Seth MacFarlane thing, but I don't know. I don't have Netflix. I've only seen the clips that have been posted online, but have either of you had the opportunity to watch any of the new Dave Chappelle special?
I haven't had an opportunity to watch all of it, just like you said, just some of the clips and stuff.
I'll tell you already, I don't watch a ton of stand-up. I just don't. I don't know why. Never have. Don't know if I ever will.
I like stand-up.
Not got into it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot, but I'm very particular about the stand-up that I like. So I'll start into a special and be like, nope, and then I'll turn it off.
Here's what I think. In the world we live in, there's a lot of pandering. And I think that if you're, this is a great example. Kamala Harris, our vice president, I feel like whenever she talks to someone, she's either pandering or talking down to them. And talking down to them like they have the intelligence of an 8-year-old, saying, okay, this is the way I need to communicate with you because you're a child. And I feel like in a lot of ways, the Democrats use kind of wokeism in a way to try to like talk down to you. And they'll say, what we're going to do is we're just going to take something complex and we're just going to boil it down to a buzzword. And then we're just going to all chant that buzzword in a circle until we make you cry or quit or fill in the blank, whatever. And that is kind of their MO in a way, until you find that there are some people that will stand up and, basically tell them to, what's the old phrase, pound sand. And once you get a little bit of people to stand up against them and challenge why they believe the way they do, they find that they, cheap like they fold like a cheap card table. They just basically collapse because they don't really know why they hate certain things or like certain things. They're just kind of part of that mob mentality. And I feel when you talk about certain touchy subjects, let it be cultural things that we see in today's world, that immediately, if you have a problem with it, and a lot of times it has to do with, vices, drinking, gambling, sex, identity, just a lot of things you look at, there's traditional values, and then there's certain ways that in today's world, they're not really looked at as that big of a deal anymore. And times do change. But if you even joke about it or bring up any objection to maybe them going to the extreme, then all of a sudden you're like the worst person in the world. You're like the worst human in the world. So Dave Chappelle jokes about these things as a master comedian could, because he's a fantastic comedian and he brings up great points in comedy. And I think everyone understands Dave Chappelle, but there are people that get upset with him all the time. I'm going to play a part of this new special. And let me set up this clip. So he was saying that one of his most respected comedians was Norm Macdonald. He loved him to death. And he said Norm Macdonald understood that Dave Chappelle, at a young age, just idolized Jim Carrey as a comedian. So one day, Norm Macdonald called up Dave Chappelle and said, hey, what are you doing? I'm doing this movie with Jim Carrey. Do you want to come up and meet him? Dave Chappelle went like, absolutely. So he gets to the set, and it's Jim Carrey filming Man on the Moon. This is when Jim Carrey was in character of Andy Kaufman, and Jim Carrey took the character of Andy Kaufman and lived it day to night, morning to night. Would wake up Andy Kaufman, go to bed as Andy Kaufman. And during this entire filming, you had to refer to him as Andy Kaufman. He was not Jim Carrey anymore. So when this was going on, of course, Dave Chappelle didn't understand that. I mean, we understand that now because the movie's out, and we understood the extreme amount of length that Jim Carrey went into to stay in character. But Dave went in there and it was talking about what it was like to meet Jim Carrey. And he gets in there and he gets in and says, Jim, I love you. And everyone on the set went, no, you can't say that. It's not Jim Carrey. It's Andy Kaufman, because they wanted to keep him in character. So Dave Chappelle picks up the story here about his interaction with Jim Carrey.
Now, in hindsight, how lucky am I that I got to see one of the greatest artists of my time immersed in one of his most challenging processes ever. Very lucky to have seen that. But as it was happening, I was very disappointed. Because I wanted to meet Jim Carrey, and I had to pretend this was Andy Kaufman all afternoon. And he was clearly Jim Carrey. I could look at him and I could see he was Jim Carrey. Anyway, I say all that to say, that's how trans people make me feel.
Okay, so this is one of the controversial clips. How funny is that, though? But that's one of the controversial clips. He sets up this whole thing about Jim Carrey, and that's how trans people make me feel. All right, so that's one of the moments in there that were controversial. What are your thoughts?
I mean, he's just saying what so many people feel. They go, I could try to participate, but I know what is happening. So, I'll do my best. I mean, that's what everybody kind of has to do, isn't it?
Isn't that what comedy is supposed to be? You find something that's true in society, in something that's absurd in society, and then you point it out and make people laugh at it. I mean, we're able to talk about it because people like Dave Chappelle go in and they do jokes like this. And
what a moment.
It was a great setup, because if you listen, like that clip I think was 2 minutes and 30 seconds long of him telling the story. And it's the long setup for that punchline.
You had no idea where it was going.
Yeah, and they just he gets you, and you're like, oh. So.
And I tried so hard to set that up and not ruin the punchline, because I wanted it to be a surprise if you haven't heard that. And that's just one of the different takes. He also, one of the criticisms they brought up to him, he made some disabled people jokes, and I thought it was kind of funny because he was saying, like, you notice how they always stick the people in the wheelchair in the back? And he's like, there's always people standing up in front of them, and they don't care about the people in the wheelchair. But he's like, he starts joking about it that way. And he said, then there's all the disabled people in the back that thought they would come here and they would just make fun of trans people. Like, what are they doing making fun of me? So he used that as a point to say that everyone gets made fun of. That's kind of life. That's kind of comedy. And I looked at that and I thought, and going back to the original premise of Dave Chappelle, I think that if you're Kamala Harris or the left and you talk down on people all the time, then that sort of thing would offend you. But if you look at people as equals and you realize that some people are in certain circumstances in their life and they don't mind joking about it, they don't mind talking about it. And if you look at them as equals and treat them as equals, it doesn't become a big deal. It's only a big deal if you kind of pity them, it becomes a deal.
So I forget the name of the comedian, but he was talking about how he had a blind person come to his show and they were sitting in the front row, and he asked the person next to him, is like, what are you doing? Like, they're blind. They don't need to sit up front. You're wasting a ticket, blah, blah, blah. And he got both of the people, both the blind person and the person that came with him, laughing and stuff like that. But he said, I met with him after the show, and the blind person thanked him because they said, you're treating me like everybody else. And that's all I ever wanted was to be treated like everyone else. And he goes, so it's stuff like that we don't think about whenever we're doing comedy. But like you were saying, you're treating a person like a person at that point.
Yeah. And how many times has that happened to you where, listen, we're all married here, where your wife looks at you and says, I can't believe you just said that to that person. And you don't think you're being insensitive. You're just treating them equally. And you know what I mean? Does that happen? It happens all the time to me. My wife's like, I can't believe you just said that. It's just embarrassed me. So embarraing.
Not often enough that I'm like calling up examples, but I'm sure it has happened. Sounds like it happens to you a lot, though.
Usually if my wife says I'm embarrassing her, it's because I'm doing something on purpose to embarrass her.
Oh, yeah. No, like, I'm not afraid. I'm a curious guy, so we'll go someplace or whatever, and we'll meet someone. And I'll be like, okay, what's up with your finger? And you look and there's like missing a finger. I want to know how they lost a finger. And my wife will be like, that's super insensitive. I can't believe you'd bring something like that up. But I'm like, guy's walking around with a nub. I want to know what happened.
Yeah, you know what? I have no
mean?
problem asking that question either. I agree with you. The only reason I don't is because if that person is tired of telling that story, then I feel bad. You know, because they might get asked enough that I'm like, well, I don't want to be the fourth person in the last hour that's asked that question. But I don't mind asking that question either. So
I can tell you what.
I mean,
people
you
don't
wanna
ask
know
that
the
anymore.
story.
Yeah, but no, people used to, but they just don't do anymore. There's a difference between going up to someone and saying, wow, man, it looks like you put on about 15 pounds versus, hey, I noticed that you're kind of like limping around. You hurt your leg or something. What's going on? You know, or it's just you showing like general interest in them. And I'm guessing like if you're missing a limb or a body part or whatever, that's part of your personality in some way. That becomes part of you where you're okay discussing it. And if it's a really sore subject, you'll know very quickly. Like they'll say, don't worry about it. And then you move on. That's it. And you can be done with it because you don't want to like, poke it any further. But for the most part, I would say 98% of the time, my curiosity leads me into a great conversation, not into something that, would make them want to hate me. But
yeah, I
2%
know. I
of the time
completely
they do.
agree. And when you said the right phrase there, it's that you're actually interested in that person. And if they have this thing that's obviously the first thing you're going to notice about them, why don't you just get that out in the open? Because they know it. It's not as if they don't know. They know that that's what people notice first about them. So get it out in the open and say, hey, what's going on? And then you can actually have that conversation, or you can skip it and have the conversation anyway. But a lot of people will not approach that person at all because they don't want to be uncomfortable. And it's like, just be uncomfortable because they'd rather make a connection with a person than not.
So you're saying if you went back to a high school reunion and someone that you knew and you were very good friends with but haven't spoke to a long time is transitioning, you wouldn't say anything to them? That'd be like, what's going on here?
Heck yes, I would. Some guy used to go to high school. I'd be like, you're living as a woman now, Jason?
What is going on here? Bob,
are you kidding me?
What's going on?
Dude, how did this happen?
Wait.
You
Last
don't
time I
like go
saw
up and
you-
applaud them. Oh my gosh, you're so brave, you know? Tell me what you're doing.
So brave. No, I want to know. There's a story there. I want to know. But it's not like I would go up to that person and be like, oh, the liberal way of looking at it is if, you would go up to them and say, now you automatically hate them for recognizing it to begin with. For you to have a visual understanding that something changed, now you absolutely hate them. No, that's absolutely not the case. I want to know what's going on here.
Heck yeah. Heck yes. That may be the first thing I'm doing at my high school reunion.
Oh, wouldn't that be it? They'd kick you out so fast. I don't think schools put up with that stuff, do they? And well, I don't know. I think most people our age, there's a certain age point, and maybe when there's, I don't know, it's a generational thing. It'll be cut off, and no one's going to do that stuff in the future. And we're going to be looked at as the oldest of old people because we don't mind saying something like this, kind of like our grandpas would get away with saying things that we wouldn't be allowed to say at the family reunions or the Thanksgiving dinner. That's going to be us sometime.
You know what? There's tomorrow's poll question. The older you get, are you more bold to speak about anything you want? Because I want to know, because I am looking forward. I'm already getting there, and I can feel it slipping away the older I get, the filter. So I'm wondering if by the time I'm 65, if I'm just going to be saying anything.
Why wait? You don't have to.
Good point.
And you know what? There's a lot of old guys sipping coffee at McDonald's at 7 a.m. that would love to have you as part of their group to chat about these things. They would be more than happy to. We don't got time for the Seth MacFarlane thing. How about we do that after the break? No, we got Wiggins America. We'll save it for later in the show because it is good audio, because I love Wiggins America. I don't want to take any time away from that. Go vote in today's poll. Did you make any New Year's resolutions? You can do that on the YouTube live chat poll right now. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Annie Frey. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Follow Annie on Instagram at The Annie Frey Show.
The Voice of a Lawyer
employer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
The vote is in. STL Today has certified the result. Onderlaw has been voted 2023's best law firm in St. Louis.
When you're injured, call Onder Law at 314 or 618-9000000.
Reel in the big one at the best fishing expo in the Midwest. The Let's Go Fishing Show, January 5th through the 7th at the Gateway Convention Center in Collinsville. Visit vendors with the latest fishing boats, rods, reels, tackle, accessories, resorts, and guided services. Shop unique, one-of-a-kind items and top-of-the-line marine electronics at discount prices. Attend free seminars. Meet pro anglers, Bassmaster Elite Series Pro Brandon Polinack, Steve Kennedy, and more. Free fishing pond, too. Visit letsgoshows.com for coupons and more information.
The YouTube live chat poll today is simply, did you make any New Year's resolutions, yes or no? And then, of course, tell us what they are or why you didn't in the comments. We'd love to see a lot of people commenting already. We're starring those so we can read them later in the show and give the results of that poll. I actually would like to know how many people are making New Year's resolutions these days. They're almost like it's almost like a faux pas that people aren't doing it as much. That's what I feel. That's why I'm interested in the poll. Let us know. The Andy Fry YouTube live chat poll. It is 12:43. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
This is where real local and national accountability happens. This is 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
Put on my blue suede shoes and I boarded the plane. Touchdown in the land of the Delta Blues, in the middle of the pouring rain.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
Yeah, I got a first class ticket, but I'm as blue as a boy can be. Then I'm walking in Memphis, just walking with my feet 10 feet off a beam. Walking in Memphis.
And welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker filling in. I got to say, your guys' music game has really gone to a whole different level lately. I don't know what it is, but I can tell that you're putting a lot more interest into it. Is it all Leah that puts the music together?
I think mostly. Yeah, it's Leah.
I mean,
it's give her the
today
credit.
is all Leah, for sure.
She's doing a great job.
Yeah. And I guess all last week was her, too, because she was the only producer here.
Yeah. She's done great. It's a fantastic list there. All right, this is the segment I look forward to the most anytime I get to fill in. Wiggins!
Oh! Monday Roundup! Yeah! This here's the wildest ride in the wilderness!
All right, well, it's not a Monday, but it feels like one, so we're going to do the Monday Roundup. I got a whole bunch of political stories, so a lot of times we're kind of catching up on the page 2 news. This is kind of the page 2 of politics. Because it's stuff that matters, but maybe you haven't seen it all yet, especially kind of getting back into the swing of things this week. So the first one, Ryan Recker and Brad, I didn't know if you've heard this yet, but Trump is going to participate in a Fox News town hall the same night as the CNN GOP debate. The town hall event, which, like the debate, will take place in Des Moines, Iowa, so I'll be going on in the same city at the same time. On January 10th, will air from 9 to 10 p.m., That is, I believe, Central Time, and will be co-moderated by Fox's Brett Baer and Martha McCallum.
Oh, good.
Two of the network's leading anchors. The Fox News Town Hall will focus on the leading issues facing voters ahead of the Iowa caucus, so this is clearly a play by both Trump and Fox News to counter the other GOP, the kind of also ran GOP debate, you could say at this point, that's going to be on CNN.
Well, and then the other side of that is, too, the Brett Baer and Martha McCallum were the two that were the moderators at the Fox News GOP debate. So this is their chance to get some questions in to ask Trump that they couldn't ask him at the debate.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Go ahead.
Now, I was going to say, that's kind of the MO. It seems like to have happened every time there's a debate Trump sets up in the same town. Like, that's happened how many times now in the past year?
Yeah.
So that's almost a given at this point.
Have you paid close attention to the debates?
No.
Not at all.
I'll watch the clips, I'll read the summaries, things like that. But keep in mind, a lot of my work schedule is at night now, so I don't like DVR it and say, honey, don't talk to me in the morning. I got to get my coffee and I got to catch up on the GOP presidential debate. Doesn't happen. I got a lot of stuff to do during the day. For example, I got kids always pulling me in every which direction. So no, I don't get to, but I'll read the summaries and kind of get an idea of what's going on. But at this point, I would say I haven't been surprised by anything that has come out of a debate. So it's exactly how you would predict it to be.
My favorite debate to watch so far, though, was the DeSantis Gavin Newsom debate. I mean, the GOP. I've watched all the GOP debates, but the Gavin Newsom DeSantis debate was the debate to watch, because that was basically, which way, American? Do you want to go the Florida way or the California way? And I think it was just a fantastic and informative debate, and it was neat to see somebody step out there.
Map.
A poop map, and props to Gavin Newsom for going out there and putting himself out there. I mean, he didn't have the answers because the facts weren't on his sides, but at least he went out there and was talking about it. So
yeah, would that be the most exciting debate? Well, outside of presidential candidates, I mean, the Hillary Clinton debates with Donald Trump are pretty fantastic. But the one where it was Bill O'Reilly and Jon Stewart, that's what it reminded me of.
Oh, I don't even remember that. How long ago was that?
Oh, that was some time ago. This would have been 2014, maybe? I don't know. Back when both were kind of in their prime. You'd have to look that up. But it was more comedic in a way. It wasn't meant to be a serious debate. Like, for example, Jon Stewart is a lot shorter than Bill O'Reilly because Bill O'Reilly's a tall dude. So Jon Stewart had a lift so he can like control how tall he looked compared to the podium, so he'd like be able to lift himself up to like the
That's
same
not uncommon.
level as. See, that's kind of funny, right? They were able, and that was something that was agreed upon. Like they understood that that type of thing would happen, but it also meant that they would have certain conversations and things. Bill O'Reilly's not as funny as Jon Stewart when it comes to delivering punchlines, but Bill O'Reilly's a smart dude, so he's able to say things that are comedic. It was a good one. I really enjoyed that, and that's what it kind of reminded me of.
Yeah, I don't know if I speak on behalf of just myself or the show or 97.1 in general here, but I think we were more interested in the first of the GOP debates and then less so as they went along. I think for the same reason that you were just saying, well, partially because Trump hasn't been there. That's a huge reason.
There are a lot of questions I want Trump to answer, though. I got a lot of questions about the way he handled the pandemic and stuff like that, and who he turned control over to and power over to, and how, I don't know that he's going to do the same thing this time around should he get elected, but I want to know what he learned from that and what he would intend to do differently and why he let that happen.
Well, that's your first one. There we go. All right, and second one, Steve Bannon predicts big fight over Haley as possible Trump VP pick. I pulled this article because I'm surprised that this is still even part of the conversation. I was very much, I rewind to mid-November, and I'm going, Haley's going to be, if not the VP pick, she's a top contender for it. And then right afterwards, he started calling her bird brain. And I'm like, I just don't think Trump is going to turn on somebody that quickly and then have to explain why he was calling her bird brain. And Brad, you've brought up, he did the same with Cruz. He did the same with Rubio. He hated them, made fun of them, and then worked with them. But this, he doesn't have to choose. He had to work with them. He could choose to work with her. I don't know why he would choose that.
Are you seeing what people that are on Team Trump, what they're saying and why they're saying it?
No,
what
are they saying?
You were talking about Bannon. Bannon said if they put Nikki Haley in there, she's just a plant, so they could then remove him and make her president.
Oh, I'm seeing this. I thought you meant his actual team.
Now, like Tucker Carlson said, he's so anti-Nikki Haley that if Trump would nominate him, not only would he not support it, he would actively campaign against him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is, these are strong Trump supporters right now, and that's some big.
Well, is that mostly Nikki Haley's stance on foreign aid? Is that what the big concern with her is?
They call her a neocon. Warhawk and a neocon is kind of their big complaints about her. She wants to go fight more wars across.
I'll read the quote to you from Steve Bannon. She says, if Nikki Haley is in this administration in any capacity, it will fail. She's a viper. She's a viper. Ooh. And once again, she gets in there. She'll try to run it as a prime minister. She'll try to be Dick Cheney. To Trump, she will be just like Dick Cheney to Trump. That's what she'll try to do. So I think they're worried about going back to the old form of Bush-Reagan conservatism and not the new form that has to fight the cultural battles. That's my guess.
Okay, so Nikki Haley just had that own controversy with the Civil War question last week, and just say slavery. That's all you had to do, and none of this would have happened. But I saw her backtrack some and then talk a little bit like on the weekend. She was on Fox and essentially said something along the lines of course it's about slavery in the South. That's given. You don't even have to bring it up anymore. Like everyone understands that. So that's her thing. Like I thought you meant in addition to, like, you know, but when I was listening to her response, and I noticed a couple of things during these town halls, she's very soft-spoken in a way that you see liberal type of candidates that don't have any substance to their answers. Like I don't want to say Kamala Harris, because that's kind of a terrible comparison because she's not nowhere near that level. But you ever see these certain candidates where they'll basically, they are so good at using like psychology talk, like a psychiatrist talk, where they use it in the way where they dance around it in the middle to try not to offend or say anything that's too bombastic, and then they'll go and like stab you in the back when you're not looking. It's kind of like, that's the kind of the way she was talking was like this psychologist talk that I just hate.
Well, what do you think about her overall as still a possible contender for Trump's VP?
No, I don't think so. Well, strategically speaking, I do a lot of shows, including in South Carolina, where she was the former governor, and people hate her there. They hate Lindsey Graham there, too. But I think about, like, what would she bring as a vice president candidate? If you're going out there, is there something that this person would appeal to that would help you gain votes in certain states? You know what? Trump doesn't need help in South Carolina. Like, they love him there, or any of the areas in a lot of these places. So I would say he's going to have to focus in some places where he might need a little help. And certainly what she's going to bring to the table ain't going to help him.
I think
so. No,
I think the harm that she would bring to him would outweigh the help, but I think the help that she brings is in more moderate states. I think moderate states look at her and say, okay, we kind of like her, and maybe we can stomach a Trump Haley
New Hampshire.
Yeah, something like that. So
I actually agree with Brad that she would sort of soften the blow for a lot of people who'd be like, you know what, I did not like Trump, but maybe Nikki Haley can take the edge off of him a little bit or something like that. I can see that. I'll go to our next one here before we run out of time. Political stuff here. Second page news. Lauren Boebert faults Ryan Reynolds and Barbara Streisand for her district switch. Did you see that she's actually not going to be running in that same district that she's in? Which, when I saw the news, I thought, man, she is just doing self-preservation here, because I personally on Twitter and other places have been targeted for fundraising ads for her competitor. And I'm like, why me? I'm in Illinois / Missouri. I'm nowhere near Colorado.
They're bringing in that dark money.
But his name is Adam Frisch. He's a Democrat. He barely lost to her last time. And so they are trying to pick her off by supporting him. And she's saying, well, it's Ryan Reynolds and Barbara Streisand because they're raising money, I guess, in some way for Adam Frisch. But when I looked into this, now I got to say, I was upset because I thought, Boebert, you're just going to switch to a redder district and then you're going to take on a different red incumbent. Well, that's not the case, because the guy, the district she's switching to has no incumbent. So she's switching to a place with no Republican running. She's going to run there. She'll probably win because it's redder, and then she'll let a more moderate Republican run in this district. I actually think it's fairly strategic.
If they do that, they pick up a seat.
Well, if they get it, yeah.
Well, if you look at the balance of the Senate, for example, next year, if I get my numbers wrong, sorry, but I think there's 32 Senate seats that may be up for grabs next year, and 24 of them are currently held by Democrats. So a majority of them, that could be a big shift next year, even in the Senate. But the House alone, could you imagine if the Republicans were finally able to get back to it and actually did something about it this time? Like, I don't want to go back to this, okay, you have the majority, but you do nothing about it kind of junk. I'm kind of sick of that. But now you can kind of see them organizing in a way where it is more strategic. And you know what? That would make sense. And who knows? Maybe they get something done this time around. If they can get the presidency back, too. Who knows? It's a possibility.
It's going to be tight in 24. The House is going to be very close.
Jim Carafano is the senior counselor to the president and E.W. Richardson Fellow for International Engagement at the Heritage Foundation. We are going to have a visit with him coming up on 97.1 FM Talk.
I was walking with my feet 10 feet off a beam.
Surprise! You know, surprise parties, they can be fun, right? Well, financial surprises, not so much, especially when you're retired, like finding out you owe more in taxes than you thought you would, or having to go back to work to make ends meet. Maybe you think you'll be okay, but why not double check just to be sure? Call Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions and schedule a retirement double check. Marvin and his team have been helping families plan for retirement for more than 15 years. Call 314-373-1598 to schedule your retirement double check with Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions. That's 314-373-1598. Don't let a financial surprise derail your retirement dreams. Give Marvin and the team a call, 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and in Illinois.
Okay, so you filed your taxes this year, but you know you have past IRS issues. And now the IRS letters are coming. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. Don't ignore those IRS letters. They're important and give you rights and deadlines to defend yourself. Waiting could cause you to lose those rights. Call the Lance Drury Law Firm now and let us help you get ahead of the IRS and defend your rights while you still have time. The Lance Drury Law Firm is located here in St. Louis, so take the first step and hire a tax resolution attorney. We've made it super easy to schedule your free consultation in person, or you can do a phone call and save travel time. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Drury Law Firm. Call today at 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120. Or go visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Oh, this cold.
Honey?
Honey?
Honey, you need DayQuil Severe Honey.
DayQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a honeylicious taste, because life doesn't stop for a cold.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
Now I'm getting a cold.
Honey. Try DayQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu relief. DayQuil Severe with honey flavor. The daytime coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, honeylicious, power through your day medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
A possible act of domestic terrorism in upstate New York. Gianna Gelosi, Fox News. The FBI investigating that deadly car collision and fire outside of a New Year's concert in Rochester, New York, as a possible act of domestic terror. Rochester Police Chief David Smith named the suspect as 35-year-old Syracuse resident Michael Avery, who was killed in the attack.
Although the motive behind the crime remains unknown, the conversations we've had with his family so far leads us to believe that Avery may have been suffering from possible undiagnosed mental health issues.
U.S. border agents reporting a record number of crossings in the last month of 2023 as more migrants are shipped throughout the U.S. Fox's Madison Allworth has more from New York City.
When it comes to government, local government, state, federal, they're all arguing over who's responsible for the care of these folks. But the reality is the cost, it comes down on the taxpayer. Eric Adams, he's been talking incessantly about Governor Abbott and how he's been sending migrants to New York City, migrants like these here, complaining that it's unfair to the treatment of these folks. The reality is, though, here in New York, they're kind of doing the same thing. New York City itself is offering fully paid flights for migrants if they will leave the Big Apple. Over 19,000 migrants have taken the city up on that offer, and the top destinations are Illinois, elsewhere in New York, and back to Texas.
Meanwhile, New Jersey Republican Representative Jeff Van Drew told Fox and Friends that his state is being overrun.
Americans
And of course, New Jerseyans are tired of illegal immigration. And I say to the people that are watching and listening to your show right now, every single state in the union should be concerned about it.
Thousands of women are stocking up on abortion pills in case they need them. That research published in JAMA Internal Medicine. Requests were reportedly at the highest right after news leaked in May of 2022 that the Supreme Court would overturn Roe versus Wade, but before the formal announcement. America's listening to Fox News.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text HIM to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text HIM to 321-321. That's HIM to 321-321.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Partly sunny skies will continue as we go through our Tuesday afternoon. Big old dome, high pressure sitting over us. 45 should do it for our topper today. Tonight, more clouds around 28. Wednesday, lots of sunshine and a chilly 42 degrees. A little breezy northwest wind. Wednesday night, partly cloudy 25, and Thursday, sunny and 38, increasing clouds during the day on Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Conservatives Care supports organizations making a difference in our community. Kim St. Ange here. USO Missouri serves active, reserve, and National Guard military members and their families throughout the St. Louis Metro and Kansas City. Learn how you can support their mission at 971talk.com/care.
What I'm about to share is something we don't talk about often enough, so I'm just going to say it. We apply deodorant to our armpits every day. It's a part of the routine, right? So why do we put up with odors on other parts of our body between showers? It's time you discovered Lumi Whole Body Deodorant for pits, privates, and beyond. I tried it, and I noticed a difference right away, everywhere. Lumi was developed by an OBGYN. It's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours. Since Lumi, I never have to worry about body odor ever again, and that reassurance is worth every penny. Lumi has over 300,000 five-star reviews, and a 60-day money-back guarantee means you can try Lumi risk-free. Give Lumi Whole Body Deodorant a try and start controlling your body odor better, everywhere.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code RISKFREE and get an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack, and ships free with code RISKFREE. LUMEdeodorant.com, code RISKFREE, and get an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack. That's LUMEdeodorant.com, code RISKFREE.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
We are Under Law, your St. Louis legal powerhouse. Auto accidents, work injuries, pharmaceutical litigations, we do it all.
Onder Law. Call 314 or 618-9000 to learn more.
Hi, this is Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw. As a family business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. What if it were possible to protect you from market downturns without having to make an emotional decision to buy or sell? What if you could take advantage of a strategy that would automatically take you out of harm's way during the bad years and position you for the growth opportunity during the good years?
The secret is in linking safely to the market without putting your principal at risk. By linking to the market instead of owning the market, you can participate safely on autopilot and lock in your gains without creating a taxable event. Go online at retirementkey.com for a no-obligation retirement review. We'll teach you the strategy that has helped our clients retire with confidence for the past 38 years. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. So go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
At Neovitin, we are all about supporting your nutrition, and that's why we are excited about our new Neovitin Omega-3 supplement. Neovitin Omega-3 is formulated with 1,200 milligrams of omega-3 fatty acids to help support healthy hearts. Our high-quality omega-3 fish oils are sourced from wild-caught fish and tested for heavy metals. With our convenient monthly subscription, you can get Neovitin Omega-3 delivered right to your door every month with no long-term obligations. Support your daily nutrition and sign up for a Neovitin Omega-3 subscription at neovitin.com today.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together, millions of things for our planet. Resolve to recycle more. Recycle paper, bottles, and cans directly, and recycle old clothes by donating them. When we each share one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
And welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in. And I always enjoy our time together. If you want to find me online, Ryan Recker Radio. Do we have our guest on? I think we may just. Okay. Joining us now is the senior counselor to the president and E.W. Richardson Fellow for International Engagement at the Heritage Foundation, Jim Carafano. Thank you for coming on to 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, why can't I have a cool name like you? I mean, you sound like a pitcher for the
Carafano's pretty cool.
Like a quarterback. Right? I doesn't have that alliteration.
You need a middle name, like they put in quotes. So you could put whatever you want there. Jim the Animal Carafano or something like that. It would be awesome. You just got to think of what that thing's going to be.
Well, that's a good thing to work on in the new year. So I appreciate that.
Your resolution, a new nickname. Well, you probably saw the breaking news. The Harvard president, Claudine Gay, resigns. And I keep looking back at this story. And, I think about this and I wonder, why is it that the raging anti-Semitism wasn't what put her in for, but it was the plagiarism? What does that say?
Well, first of all, we've learned nothing from this because she will pay no price. She'll be taken care of. She's already playing the victim card that, somehow she's the aggrieved party here. And the lesson that people will take away from this isn't that you are held accountable for your actions. It's that if you play the game, you will get taken care of. So if you're part of the mighty leftist establishment, which is the whole idea, get and seize power and be part of helping us build that impenetrable wall, and then doesn't matter what you do, you'll get taken care of. So your point is exactly right. There are few greater evils in this world than anti-Semitism. This is calling for the genocide of people who have done nothing wrong other than to happen to be born Jewish or profess the Jewish religion. It really is unconscionable to hold or tolerate those views. And here you have a person at one of the leading universities in the entire country who put themselves up on a pedestal for training a generation of ethical leaders and who are the worst, create the worst environments for ethical leadership. And for her 6-month reign in which she was the epitome of a soulless, corrupt leader, she'll live in Martha's Vineyard and she'll be feted and she'll write a book about how she was abused and probably get a TV show published, produced by the Obamas and Oprah Winfrey will have her book of the week. Yeah, I mean she's going to cash in. She literally will cash in.
The part of this, too, is that it almost feels like a lot of the students were okay with that. However, it was the donors, the ones that really helped fund the university with millions and millions of dollars, the ones that were not. And they started pulling their money aside. And that's when the university realized that they were in some trouble. That says something, too, about these universities where the president can echo what their students are feeling at a lot of these large universities. But it's really, in the end, It's the money that talks. So to me, it shows that there is no integrity.
Well, I don't even know if that's true, though. The amount of money that the left have access to is literally bottomless, including federal tax dollars. I mean, forget about George Soros's infinite bank account. I mean, all the evils, like border security and everything, they're all funded by the U.S. taxpayer, controlled by the leftist government. So if somebody pulls their billions, I don't think you necessarily have to hit the panic button, because the left will find you the money. I don't think that's ever the problem. I mean, and Harvard had one of the biggest endowments in the world. I mean, there are Fortune 500 companies that would love to have their reserves. So I'm not even sure that's it. I think honestly, it's just getting it off the table, so the other side doesn't have something to complain about. It's like, how many times, remember, like, we used to beat up Biden for never going to the border, and I think like a year and a half ago he went to the border for like an hour and a half. He saw it in the distance, much like Sarah Palin saw Russia, and then it was like, oh, I've been to the border, so that takes that off the table. So I think it's just getting the issue off the table so they can go back to doing what they're doing.
Yeah, let's talk about the border. Illegal immigration, has it gotten better or worse during the Biden administration?
Is that a trick question?
That's an easy, what they call a softball question.
Look, you can go back to Andrew Jackson's. The border has never been this open and dangerous. It's the most, and the reason for it, say, well, geez, back in the Texas Rangers and Pancho Villa racing across, the border was wide open, but people from all over the world couldn't jump on a plane and walk here. Do you know there are actually travel agencies setting up around the world in places like Africa and Asia and the Middle East, where you can go to a travel agent and literally book your illegal entry into the United States?
No.
I mean, no. We are on the path to maybe 500 million people coming here in the reasonable future. Because if we just keep doing what we're doing, and if you run the numbers, it's 330 million Americans. So yeah, that's right. I mean, if we were just run this out to its logical conclusion, there will be more people here who just walked in and took over than actually are U.S. citizens.
Wow. Can I play you a clip from Senator Dick Durbin in Illinois and get your thoughts on this? Because he has a solution to the problems at the border. Here's his solution, because actually he looks at a problem and finds solutions. That's what Senator Dick Durbin does. Let's play this.
There's also an incredible demand for legal immigration into this country even now. The presiding officer, my colleague from the state of Illinois, has legislation which addresses one aspect of that. Her bill, and I hope I describe it accurately, says that if you're an undocumented person in this country and you can pass the physical and the required test, background test, the like, you can serve in our military, and if you do it honorably, we will make you citizens of the United States. Do we need that? You know what the recruiting numbers are at the Army and the Navy and the Air Force? They can't reach their quotas each month. They can't find enough people to join our military forces. And there are those who are undocumented who want the chance to serve and risk their lives for this country. Should we give them the chance? I think we should.
Okay, so that's Senator Dick Durbin out of Illinois. His solution is, if you enter the country illegally, but then you serve in the military, then you get your citizenship. What do you think of that?
Yeah, well, you know how many people are going to sign up for that? 3. Why would you do that when you can come to the United States of America, go on welfare, get free medical care in California, and not have to do anything? I mean, this is laughable. I mean, do they practice this in front of a mirror to do this without laughing at themselves? Not to look, anything you do which provides a positive benefit, forget about if anybody signs up for it or not, because nobody will, but anything you do which offers a positive benefit to illegal immigration is going to accomplish one thing. It's going to attract more illegal immigrants, period. That's it. So there is no magic button, amnesty, here's a deal, workers or whatever. It's the only 2 things that are going to reverse this are securing the border, deporting a large number of people, and enforcing the laws. That's it.
Let's kind of look at some foreign policy things, because just for the sake of time, what do we do with Iran now? Because we keep seeing every day, I feel like there's a new story. There's some group out of Iran, a proxy group that keeps attacking Americans, attacks Israel, and it happens over and over again. And now it's happening such frequent basis, and it always goes back to Iran. What do we do with Iran now?
Well, look, if we just keep doing what we're doing, at some point, a lot of Americans are. I pray to God this doesn't happen. A lot of Americans are going to get killed, and this administration will be forced to make a really robust response, and then things will really get tough. So that's the worst case scenario. The most likely scenario is we keep doing this, and Iran just says, okay, well, if the United States isn't going to react to that, then while Biden's running for president, we're just going to declare ourselves a nuclear power. He won't do anything, and then the new president will come in, be face that, and the entire region will be turned on its head. This policy is completely unsustainable. One way or another, it's going to lead to a really bad end, either a nuclear Iran or a horrific confrontation. But no good is going to come of this. There is no positive end state here. Because think about it. We just keep doing this tit for tat thing. They just keep doing it. They just keep doing what they're doing. And we've got shipping companies not sailing through the Red Sea. We've now disrupted a major waterway. We have countries doubting the resolve of the United States to defend itself. People worry about Iran being a nuclear breakout state. It's prolonging the war against Israel with Hamas and Hezbollah. I mean, there's only one upside. And I just got to say, there's only one upside. When Biden came into office, I predicted that the worst things in foreign policy are going to happen in the Middle East. And I'm right.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, that's what we continue to see play out. And what we find, too, is that the debate about tying foreign aid and our foreign policy with the southern border, it just goes to show you that they never really took the southern border seriously to begin with. And this is where I find in 2024, the Republicans have, I think, pretty good odds of taking both the House and the Senate. Even if they were to do both of those things, do you think anything would get done? Like, how do we get anything done in this country where some of these things that we know have been problems here in our own home country continues not to get taken care of? How do we get anything done anymore?
Well, the good news is I think all these problems are solvable. And in large part, again, I'm not political, I'm not Republican, Democrat, but because we've seen them being solved in recent history. We know the border can be secured even with current law because we saw that happen for 4 years. We know Iran can be deterred because we saw that happen for 4 years. We know Russia will back down because we saw that happen for 4 years. We know that you can actually challenge China and get their attention because we saw our president do that. So the short answer is we've seen successes in all these things. And we've seen that there's a middle path between sitting on our hands at home and be isolationists and doing nothing and invading and bombing every country in the world. So I'm in the camp of the optimist that these are all fixable problems because they've been fixed before. And I actually love where we are politically in this country for the crazy reason that Americans have two very clear choices for the path forward. This is not McCain-Obama where they sounded almost identical on the campaign trail. People have a real choice of what direction they want the country to go in. What is better for a democracy than a clear and obvious choice between two different futures?
Right. At JJ Carafano, you can look up online his work also with the Heritage Foundation, senior counselor to the president, the E.W. Richardson Fellow for International Engagement at the Heritage Foundation. We'll come up with a good nickname for you, and whatever it is, maybe I'll have to check your social media and see when you change your name in there, and then I'll know what you decided on. Jim Carafano, thank you so much for coming on to St. Louis in 97.1 today.
Thanks, Rob.
Jim Carafano is fantastic. What a brilliant mind. There was a clip we didn't get to play in the last hour. I want to do that coming up after the break. It's the Bill Maher, Seth MacFarlane thing. And Seth MacFarlane compares Trump and Biden to former leaders. It's such like, you look at that and you roll your eyes. You're like, okay, whatever. But I wanted to get your reaction to it coming up after the break. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in on 97.1 FM Talk.
I took her out. It was a Friday night. I woke alone to get the feeling right. We started making out and she took off my pants, but then I turned on the TV.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
She walked away from me.
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
What the hell is ADD? My friends say I should act my age. What's my age again? What's my age again?
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's corporate cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp's software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/free. Ramp.com/free. ramp.com/free.
Mark Cox here. Do you need to sell your home, but you need time to find your next home or to build that new construction home you've only been dreaming about? Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, St. Louis real estate expert, has a program for you. Gloria understands that those two issues keep would-be home sellers from moving into their dream home. So Gloria's developed her Sell and Stay program that allows you to sell, get your cash, and stay in the home for up to 12 months. Gloria's Sell and Stay program takes the pressure off. It gives you time to find your next home. Plus, now that you have the cash from your current home, it gives you leverage when negotiating your next home. It's a great solution to help get some of our listeners unstuck and moving. If that sounds like you, call the one I trust at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888. Or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
The Mark Reardon Show.
If you're sick, stay home, right? If you don't want to expose people to what you have, stay home. But after that, shut up about it.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk. The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
I enjoy the conversation, Brad, that you're having with Brad Crowell on Twitter about the movies of Steven Seagal. Trying to solve a mystery of your favorite Steven Seagal
Yeah, it was
mysteries.
executive decision. Thank you, Mr. Crowell, for tagging me on Twitter for that. And thank you to our good friend Balls for tagging me in. It was Air Force One that was the zip line scene. So
That's so great. Oh, boy.
We have the best listeners.
Could you imagine Trump or Biden trying to do a zip line? Like, what a disaster that would be. Both
Not
would be
between
terribly
planes,
horrible.
just a zip line.
I'm just imagining
Just anything.
Trump yelling from the plane. It was a beautiful zip
No
line.
way.
His hair never moves.
That's true. No, his hair does move in the wind. That's true, but it wouldn't fall off. You know, they make it sound like he's wearing a wig, but no, it's there. Did you see the one sit down between Seth MacFarlane and Bill Maher? It's one of those, what do they call it? Club Island or whatever it is. Essentially, they sit and a lot of times they smoke weed or whatever, and they have these long conversations. They drink, they smoke or whatever. And Seth MacFarlane was talking and making considerations of the next presidential election. And one of the things he brought up was this comparison. Let me play it for you and see what you think. Now, Bill Maher, of course, a political commentator. And Seth is the one that created Family Guy, and that's who you're going to hear from. So a controversial kind of cartoon to begin with.
There's one thing I think has yet to be said about this upcoming election, because we all know it's Trump versus Biden, assuming he doesn't wind up in prison, is that you're voting for a team, that you're not voting for a person, you're electing a team. And you can have a team of people who were selected for their expertise and selected for their mastery of their individual piece of the puzzle, or you can elect a team that is there to say, yes, sire, whatever you say. And for me, that's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer. It's FDR or it's Hitler. And I know the Hitler comparisons are no good, but you know, and I know, FDR trusted his team and Hitler was a micromanager.
Okay. So the comparison to Hitler because he's a micromanager, that's the one that came to mind for it. Number one, the first thing I would say to try to counter Seth MacFarlane's quotes is that the Biden administration notoriously surrounded himself around people that were there for social justice reasons. Are you kidding me? Have you seen how many appointments that were there that have come back and you realize not only did they have zero experience, they were only selected because they were some sort of minority group. Like, for example, what's the one dude that shaved his head and put on lipstick that went to jail? Like, you look at it and you say, what's going on here? And you realize that they literally had zero experience. However, they wanted to try to put someone in, so make sure they're represented in their government, but they didn't have any business being in a position like that to begin with. So him saying that, oh, you know, at least the people that need to be there, yeah, right. Okay, so I don't know what kind of cabinet or what kind of people surrounding Joe Biden that you're deciding to selectively look at. But as a whole, there were some terrible picks there as well.
Well, I say in that quote, put aside the idea that one of these guys actually can run something and the other one is incapable of it and has to surround himself with people who he delegates to because he can't have the cognitive function to actually perform the job. Put that aside and just consider the actual results of those people that he's put in those positions. So let's start with John Kirby, for instance, foreign policy. How's he done on foreign policy?
He's just the spokesperson. Let's talk Blinken and
okay, let's go Blinken. Go ahead.
Their first meeting with China basically read them the Riot Act and accused the United States of being racist to their face, disrespected them, and then sent them home with nothing. Then they went to China, same thing, disrespected them, sent them home with nothing. Blinken said that this is the most peaceful the world has ever been. Then you look at the Middle East, and then you look at the war in Ukraine, and now you've got Houthis sending drones and missiles at ships. Commerce ships in the Red Sea, not U.S. ships. They're shooting container ships that are traveling through the Suez Canal and out the Red Sea to cut off trade to the world. Then you look at how they handled Iran. They unfroze a bunch of bank accounts, gave Iran a bunch of money, released a bunch of money. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, but they're monitoring. That was just for human aid. Money is fungible. If you free up money for human aid, the money they were using for human aid then can go to terrorist causes. Right after they do that, October 7th happens. Then the Houthis get all uppity and start shooting missiles at people, and things have just spun off the records. So this is Blinken's thing. This is Blinken and Biden foreign policy. The world is like, the wars are expanding. They're not getting smaller.
So that's Blinken. What about Homeland Security head Alejandro Mayorkas? How has he done? I mean, if we're just looking at the team, just picking a couple guys here, how do you think he's done?
What did he say? The border is secure. The border is closed. And what was the latest numbers? Over 300,000 encounters in the month of December alone. 300,000 people.
Oh, that's all.
So
that's it. 300,000. My goodness.
So you're telling me that just among those two that we picked, of Blinken and Mayorkas,
Janet Yellen. How's inflation doing?
Oh no, it's a dream. The Bidenomics is working, guys.
It's coming down.
Well, it's the team.
It's expanding less rapidly is what's happening.
Yeah.
To Seth MacFarlane's point, you just got to have a great team around you, and I'm willing to vote for a great team. I think the funniest thing about that clip is that he says that, and then before you're able to really critically think about it, he goes, "Oh wait, let's." I'm just going to say Hitler. I'm going to make sure that you don't engage your brain into what I've said and just say Hitler and FDR so that you emotionally react to that.
Right, because the thing that we like least about Hitler was he was a micromanager.
That right? Yeah. I hate people with mustaches for that same reason.
Oh my gosh. These people don't make valid arguments. They make emotional arguments. So it's like, ooh, if I say this word, like you said, Hitler, it strikes an emotional chord with people. And they're like, oh, yeah, we don't like him. People really don't stop and think, well, why is it we don't like Hitler? And does that actually apply to Donald Trump? No. He's bad. Yeah. Hitler's bad. They're both bad. They're the same. That's the depth of the Donald Trump is literally Hitler argument. It's the stupidest thing.
Do you know what? can I say what people decided to point out on social media that's very insensitive but was funny? What basically said to Seth MacFarlane is the reason you picked FDR is because Biden's mostly incapacitated. Because, FDR,
Ooh, that's a
after
good one.
polio,
Yeah,
was
that's
stuck
pretty
to a
good.
wheelchair. Now, I thought that's so insensitive, but it's so hilarious. But now keep in mind, Seth MacFarlane made an entire career out of making jokes like that, and that's what he does every cartoon he puts out anyway. So, but there's got to be a little bit of irony in something like that. When I hear any type of comparison to Hitler, you're right. It's just basically I roll my eyes and say, "Oh boy, all right, this is what we're doing now, huh?" And to me, it almost seems like you automatically discount anything you've said before that as soon as you say the name.
Yeah, but not only that, aren't we making ourselves numb to it? I mean, this is the whole Chicken Little Sky is Falling thing. When you use that comparison and it's not the right comparison and people are looking at this and it's not right comparison, and the more you shout he's literally Hitler, the more people do what you're doing, Ryan, which is rolling your eyes. Then when literally Hitler comes along, the guy that is actually going to do what Hitler did, people are like, yeah, we heard this one before, we're not having it. And then nobody's going to believe you. It's the boy who cried wolf.
Yep. We got so many clips, but I wanted to bring this up because I know you guys love Illinois. It's your favorite state. You think if there's a model that other states should use, it should be the state of Illinois, particularly northern Illinois around the Chicago region.
Mm-hmm.
But did you see that U-Haul put out their list of their top states based on where they make their most profit of people moving out of state? And Illinois made that list.
Oh, because people are moving to Illinois so much, right?
Oh, no. It's actually the opposite. So Missouri
really?
actually has been a beneficiary to that. Does that surprise you? There's so many.
It
And I think
does.
they said 33,000 residents for the past year and a half have moved out. And that's what they were able to at least track through U-Haul. And the number's probably higher than that.
It does surprise me because when I think Illinois, I think sound fiscal policy and opportunity. And this is where people, I assumed until this stat came out, that this is where people wanted to move from all over the country. People saw Illinois as kind of a beacon of freedom throughout COVID.
Yeah.
And they said, I want to go there because I want to be free.
That's why so many migrant buses continue to go to Chicago, because that's where they want to be.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly why they're doing that.
Choose to be there. That's exactly why they're doing that. So I saw that and I said, okay, of course that's going to be the case. And I know that northern Illinois is so much different than southern Illinois when it comes to even politics or the way people act for the most part. But I find that even in the Chicago region, things are getting really that much better. And you find different statistics come out. They said this about St. Louis. They said this about Chicago. They said this about Detroit. Look at this. The homicides are down. Everything's great. Well, this is just kind of like the inflation debate too, where you compare it to, 2 years ago during COVID when it was super high and everything was crazy. And now it's still bad, but they're saying, hey, it's not like, 2020 levels bad when everyone was out with BLM riots and shooting and killing people and, burning cities down. So since it's not that bad, we're actually doing pretty good for ourselves. So in comparison, much like inflation, if you were to compare it to a couple of years ago during the, Biden administration and the start and going into the really problems we had with inflation and the way we are right now, you're like, oh yeah, inflation's great. But in hindsight, no, if you look at a 2-year average or whatever, it's still incredibly high and absolutely terrible. And the cost of goods, what they say is baked into the cake, meaning that the prices aren't coming down. So based on what you're paying right now, the best you can ask for is that prices don't go any higher than they are, but we know they are continuing. And that's kind of like the homicide rate right now. They're trying to spin it like it's a good thing.
Yeah, I've heard, and this is very common to do. I'm not just pointing at one politician for do this, but I've heard Illinois politicians, Democrats, use a figure like X amount of people have moved into Illinois this year, because that's always true. You always have some in migration.
Yeah.
But then just not say what the total out migration is. So you'll say, well, 100,000, 300, whatever it is, X amount of people moved into Illinois this year, and then just leave it at that. That's actually what Gavin Newsom was doing a lot in that debate.
The other trick that they use is they'll go to percentages and they'll say per capita. Don't do that.
Which, if you examine the numbers at all, you'd find out that, well, between birth rate and in migration, you're actually one of the lowest states in the United States for those things. But you can still spin facts to sound like that if you don't want to look into it, which most people don't.
I want you to know that politicians, they never spin facts. I don't know what you're getting at, but we just got a tweet in from someone of Donald Trump. Looks like it's ziplining. Who's out there with the Photoshop and the quick fingers?
I got to see this.
Whoever's out.
That has to be balls.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. So what's up with this listener? Is this a regular for you guys?
Yeah, a regular listener. So it looks like what he's done is taken a picture of Steven Seagal jumping out of a plane and just put Trump's head.
That's
over.
Harrison Ford.
Oh, is that Harrison Ford? Okay.
Yeah, dragging from the zip line.
Okay.
Fast on the Photoshop on Twitter. That's hilarious. All right. Thanks for that.
Appreciate your contribution there, Balls.
Yeah. Oh, boy. There's another story. We might have to do this after the break, but crime in the metaverse, it's not just crime in real life. It's like crime that's done virtually. Is that still a crime? That makes for a pretty interesting debate, but maybe we'll do that after the break. I guess before we go, I haven't seen any update to the Epstein list yet. It should be coming out at any time. Have you seen anything released yet? Is there any breaking news sounders out there like on Fox, or has anything been released that you've seen?
No, I mean, aside from what you
Not
talked about with the John Doe 36 being identified as Bill Clinton, according to the Washington Times, no.
Yeah, he's
aside
all
from
over.
that, yeah.
He's all over this. I wonder what Bill Clinton's doing today. I wonder. You know what I think is going to be one of the big hits that they're not really talking about in 2024? I think the Democrats maybe have lost their number one surrogate in Bill Clinton. Like whenever there was an election, they always sent Bill Clinton, and he always drew a crowd, and they always got, oh, look, maybe that'll help get some votes because he's a fantastic public speaker. He's not going to be allowed in public at all after this Epstein list. And the Democrats in this upcoming election may have just lost one of their top surrogates, I think. Maybe that could play a factor in this upcoming, because who are they going to, who's out there right now that's going to draw a crowd that people are going to get excited about? Are they going to send Pete Buttigieg out there on behalf of Joe Biden? Yeah, right.
Hillary Clinton.
No one's going to get excited. What's that?
Hillary.
Oh, yeah. Take Hillary out there. Oh, won't that be great?
I'd go to that speech only if I knew they were going to drop balloons and just see what her reaction to it was.
No, Hillary was running for president, and she didn't show up to her own events. It was Bill Clinton that went out on her behalf.
Oh, yeah?
Like, this is back.
Yeah.
Obama.
Yeah, 2016.
Obama still draws a crowd.
They hated the Clintons.
I know, but he still draws people.
He might be the only person they have left, yeah. I guess Bill Clinton may not be their number one. If Obama even wants to do that, do you think he even cares at this point? Do you think he wants to?
It'd be tough to go out there and stump for Joe Biden right now, just for anybody.
So bad. That's a tough sell. Like, oh boy, it's like going out there and you're like, okay, your job today is to go sell a bunch of electric vehicles that have been catching on fire. Oh boy, this is gonna be a tough sell, but I think I can do it. Crime in the metaverse, is this more real than crime anywhere else? And that is a question that's being debated over in the UK. We're going to discuss that coming up. I'm Ryan Recker filling in. Go vote in the YouTube live chat poll now. Did you make any New Year's resolutions? Yes or no? Tell us in the comments. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Make sure you have this number saved in your phone. I'm talking about Air Comfort Service. I'm talking about the people who will quickly get you into your comfort zone this winter when you realize, oh no, there's something going on with the furnace, or there's an issue that you have with the temperature control in your house. The number to put in your phone, you never know when you're going to need it, but you want to make sure you have it when that time comes. 314-513-0091. They offer 24-hour emergency service. 314-513-0091. One of the services that they offer that has been put into my house, I'm so grateful for it, is that whole home humidifier. During these dry months, you might experience static shocks, wood furniture, and your floors cracking all the time, and your skin getting super dry and cracked and itchy and nosebleeds. My son gets those in our house. When we put in the whole home humidifier, we could get rid of the big clunky humidifier sitting in the hall, and now the air is as comfortable as it can possibly be. Like I said, call them at 314-513-0091, aircomfortservice.com.
During open enrollment, it's crucial to carefully review and compare different plans to choose the one that best suits your needs. With the Pauley Agency, you're not just getting insurance, you're getting peace of mind. Visit thepauleyagency.com to learn more. Let us help tailor a plan just for you. Don't wait until it's too late. Protect your health and those you care about With the Pauly Agency, call 636-222-2149 or visit thepaulyagency.com for a free personalized quote today.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, with an auto warranty about to expire, or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost, month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-674-2189 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-674-2189. That's 800-674-2189. What do you have to lose? Call 800-674-2189. Again, 800-674-2189.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how to link to the market without the risk. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go online to retirementkey.com.
I have enjoyed reading your comments on this poll today. Did you make any New Year's resolutions, yes or no? Of course, that's an easy answer, yes or no. But what we want to hear is why or what they are if you have made them. And let us know. We're starring those. We'll read some of those at the end of the show today when you give the results of this poll. It's the Annie Frey YouTube live chat poll. The time is 1:42. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Connect with the personalities and give your feedback. 97.1 FM Talk is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For content that's additional to the radio, join us there. This is the Annie Frey Show.
Let's go.
Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Have you heard of the trend, is it dry January, where they encourage you not to drink alcohol for a month?
Yes.
That's pretty common, yeah. Did you know vegans had a version of that where they want you to get off of animal byproducts for a month in January? They have their own challenge.
Oh, I think I already failed that.
Pass.
Pass and pass, yeah, absolutely. I can't believe that this exists. I think there's a reason why no one really understands it's there, but I saw there was a story on Wired and essentially says, here's some psychological tricks to help you go vegan. Isn't that great? Like you have to brainwash yourself to give up animal products. It's like you're essentially saying you have to do that to make it work. And that's it. That I didn't read the article. I don't care to, but that was it. By the way, too, something else I've noticed in today's pop culture, if you go back like 10, 15 years, do you remember how big of a deal it was if someone watched a show before you and they spoiled it and you would have to yell, no spoilers, if someone was talking about things, no spoilers. I just wanted to get your general pulse on this. Is it become, I guess, less likely to have a show spoiled for you lately than it was maybe 10, 15 years ago? Because it's so strange. I don't watch shows when they come out. I always watch them well after they're out. And I can tell you that I started to realize, wow, this is a popular show and no one's ever spoiled this for me. Do people just not spoil shows anymore? Like, have you noticed that at all in your lives?
I think they do. We just watch. So it used to be that everybody was watching a show at the same time. Mm-hmm. And that still happens once in a while with a big new release of some new movie or some show on a major platform. But for the most part, we're watching shows at such different times. You know, I'm watching a show right now that came out 3 years ago. It's new to me, but I've never heard anybody talking about it. And so I'm sure somebody has already spoiled that show for me at some point, but I've forgotten. Yeah.
I know the show that you watched. It's Bluey. 3 years ago. Is that what you picked up?
That one's still new, Ryan. I'm still watching.
Well, it started about 3 years.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. The dad's a good dad. Ugh. Spoiler alert. I was looking too at the top 100 most watched TV shows at 2023, and a lot of them are sports. It goes to show you that I really don't watch a lot of the same things people watch because I barely watch sports anymore. And a lot of it's the NFL, and then they throw in some award shows like the Oscars and the Grammys. But people just watch a lot of live sports, which makes you understand why these streaming companies like Amazon and Apple, they all are fighting for live sporting events because they realize that's what people are watching anymore. And they want that. But yeah, this weekend, my wife and I went to go see The Boy and the Heron. It's a Japanese anime. Have you heard of this cartoon?
No, I haven't.
What is it called?
It's a Studio Ghibli
Okay, I've heard
movie.
of Studio Ghibli.
Yeah, or Ghibli. I think it's Ghibli. And the movies they come out with are normally like PG-13, but the artwork is fantastic. So you're going to go see a movie that's not like, some guy's going to get decapitated in it or something, crazy. So it's a lot of storytelling in a very artistic Japanese type of way. And I think that when the movie we went to go see was dubbed in English, and there were some huge voice actors that did the English dubbing, which is really remarkable, all things considered. And I sat down and watched it, and it's like you look at all the ratings, and the critics love it, and the studio loved it. And I got there, and I kept thinking, I can't wait for this thing to be over. I just felt so bad. And it was like the first movie my wife and I have seen in the theater in like 2 years. It's been forever, and I feel like I picked the dud, and now she's never going to let me pick a movie ever again.
Well, she's probably right. That does not sound like a movie I would go see. I don't know if I'd see that at all, let alone in a theater. That must be a pretty big release if that's in a theater right now. I can't even tell you what is in movie theaters at any given time anymore.
My wife and I over the break, we went and saw the Ferrari movie, and it's a story about Enzo Ferrari and like I can't even pronounce the race right, Mille Maligne or something like that. It's a 1,000-mile race across northern Italy. And how he had to enter that, and they had to win that is like in 1950 something. And if they didn't win it, they wouldn't be able to sell enough cars, and Ferrari would cease to exist. Or he could, like the idea was, like Ferrari was a racer at heart, and he sold cars so he could race. Well, he was spending more money on the racing program than he was building and selling cars. So then his financial advisor told him, "Look, you're going to have to partner with a company." Well, this is what eventually leads into the Ford versus Ferrari story. So this is like the foundations of that. But it focused more on Enzo Ferrari, the man, in his personal life than it did on the business aspect or telling the history of that. And so it's like, while I was like super excited to see this movie, because I'm a car guy, I'm a racing guy, I love all this stuff, I'm not really like interested in Enzo Ferrari's private life. And like, I feel like they spent too much. And so it was a good movie. It was well made. Adam Driver did a good job acting in it. I just didn't find the story compelling. And I feel like that's kind of where we're at in movies right now. Like what's out, and you look at it and you go, there's just not anything that is inspiring me to go see a movie.
Yeah, and that popcorn better be real good. Because if I go there and the movie stinks and the popcorn's stale, I'm going to be real upset. Outside of movies and things, there was this one story over on the Daily Mail, and this happened over in the UK. Police are investigating their first case of rape in the metaverse after a child was attacked. 16-year-old girl says she was gang raped by virtual strangers online. No physical touching, nothing of that matter. It's just her and her little headset on. And online, the avatars acted dirty towards this 16-year-old girl. So the police are investigating it. And she's saying that it's first of its kind type of rape investigation in the digital world. Can you commit crimes in the digital world? Is that actually a crime? Do you think that is something that the police should be involved in?
It seems like it would have to enter the real world at some point for it to be a real crime. Like they'd have to have been saying things to her on the headset, maybe? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, like if it's a 16-year-old girl, like, isn't there sexual harassment? I mean, it doesn't matter if you do it online or in a game or whatever.
Sexual harassment.
It's a sexual harassment of some sort.
If they're saying something outside of the why is the program allow there to be rape in it? I mean,
well, I don't think it's okay. I don't think there's like digital actual things going on. I think it's like, okay, they position their avatar in a way that suggests that's what's happening.
That's ridiculous. That's so stupid. This would be a real physical crime. Look, I might be mad if my son or daughter were online and some people were doing something to them in a world that I probably wouldn't allow them to be in anyway. But, she's 16. Sounds like she's She probably got some freedoms in her house. That's fine. That's what you do. But at some point, don't you have to go, well, this isn't real, so why are the cops involved?
Well, I guess the question is too, though, if you want to look at it this way, if it is a harassment and of a sexual nature, you're not allowed to do that, even if you do it by phone or in person or through social media. Why would it be any different on a virtual reality chat room than it would be in a regular chat room?
Ryan, is the case that they just had a few of their avatars standing around her in a suggestive way? What is the claim?
The claim is that she was in an online room with a large amount of avatars, and then it was a gang up situation where the avatars came to her, and I didn't see video of this, but the description makes it sound like they simulated humping or something along those lines. So it's not like your clothes like fall off and then you're like in a romance situation. It's basically a very crude type of moving that suggests there's something going on.
So that's it's the equivalent of when you type : parentheses, it comes up as a happy face. It's not really a happy face, but you're using something to suggest something else.
I don't know if it was like that. So, imagine you take two Barbie dolls and, you bring them up together and like, oh, look, they're kissing. They're not really kissing. They're just two Barbie dolls and you're putting their faces together. That's what it sounds like to me. It's two avatars and they're in close proximity to each other. And then you can figure out what the other one is trying to simulate.
So some other 16-year-old boys made some movement in the game that made it look like they were hip thrusting, and now she's bringing it to the police?
Right. Okay. So, yes, and this is where it goes a little bit further. So the police are saying that, hey, we'll investigate this, but what we really need are laws that regulate what can be done in the metaverse to prevent things like this from exploiting children. So they're saying that the laws haven't caught up to the technology yet, and there needs to be something put in place because this is, in their eyes, what would be an assault.
So I'm going to make a suggestion here. I'm going to make a suggestion that the program or the game, whatever it is, they just take out the hump feature. If they found
Control H.
Well, if I hit A, B at the same time.
There are so many gamers out there going, Ryan, you've never gamed before.
Please tell me, educate me.
Listen, these are 16-year-old boys. There doesn't have to be a quote-unquote hump feature for them to figure out a way of making it inappropriate.
Well, understood. But apparently they have figured out how to make these little cartoon guys thrust in the air. So maybe you just do something that makes that less possible.
No, this is what's going to happen. Your kids will get old enough, and I know my son will get old enough, and he'll say, Dad, play this game with me, and you'll hand the controller over, and we'll be playing or whatever, and you'll be like, okay, this is how you shoot, this is how you run, this is how you jump, and I'll be like, oh, okay, how do I do this? I'll press a button. Dad, don't do that. You're humping a 16-year-old. And I'll be, no! And I'll throw the system through the window. I'll do it on accident.
Yeah,
you're right. Why is a feature like that even in there?
Yeah, this is like the end of Mortal Kombat, the fatality. You got to hit a certain number of buttons, and then you can rip somebody's skull off of their face.
Yeah, and I would throw that system out the window. I would say, get out of here. And this is the article itself. When I read this, I think this is another reason why I'm going to not allow my kid to have social media until he's an adult. Like, you're going to be a full-blown 18-year-old before you're allowed on any of this stuff, because that's the way other people act. And that's how you stop the kids from experiencing that.
Yeah, it's got to be like you could hit a certain combination. Somebody out there is going to know this right when I say it, that you could hit a certain combination on the Nintendo keypad and get unlimited lives in Contra. They need to...
A code.
There's a code.
You know, like a Konami code or something.
It's kicking around in your brain. I can see it in your eyes.
I don't remember that. It's up, down, left, right, select, start. Or
but
something
if they've hidden that within the Avatar game, that if you hit the right combination of buttons, your character will just walk around like straight humping all the time. Like, just get rid of that feature is what I'm saying.
And how about this? Like, in the world that the games that these kids play, like Grand Theft Auto, imagine them trying to regulate laws in a game like Grand Theft Auto, where all of this is not only encouraged, but where it's like part of the mechanisms where you need to actually advance yourself in the game. Like, how would you even be able to bring that up in an online setting?
You can't commit crime. Yeah, the British police are monitoring to see if you commit any crimes in Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
I think Grand Theft Auto stock is going to drop pretty hard pretty fast.
You have to steal a car to level up. And the police like, whoa, stop right there, sir.
Yeah,
they knock your door down.
Online Grand Theft Auto. It's the name of the game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. That is going on in the UK. I wonder what type of laws they may put in that. Coming up after the break, I want to talk some music with you because I saw Taylor Swift passed Elvis for the most weeks at number 1 as a solo artist on the charts. And there's a new Gen Alpha. So I have to just learn more types of... I don't like learning these new generations. Again, it's just... every time I look at this, I realize that there's going to be a new generation. They're going to act differently than I do. But it doesn't mean I have to like it. So let's look at Gen Alpha and the things that matter to them coming up after the break. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for 97.1 FM Talk.
Another one bites the dust.
Stop everything you're doing right now and ask yourself, are you currently receiving steady paychecks? What about when you're retired? Will you receive a monthly check to cover your expenses and also have some fun? Marvin Mitchell and the team at Compass Retirement Solutions calls this mailbox money. It's a monthly check you'll receive throughout retirement. They don't want you to worry about if the money will show up or how much money you'll receive. The only thing they want you to think about is how to spend it when it arrives. Find out how to get enough money in your mailbox every month when you're retired. Call Marvin Mitchell and the Compass Retirement Solutions team at 314-373-1598 to start working on a plan that can help you create the monthly income you'll need in retirement. Call 314-373-1598 right now and schedule a visit with Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois.
Well, it's 2024. Wishing everybody a better year than last year. Wishing everybody succeed on their resolutions. Really hope somebody succeeds on their resolution. Ignore that. I don't want to be a Bertie Downer. I thought I'd save all the Debbies out there. But anyway, it's still cold. You still need heat. If your system breaks, remember, look me up. You saved me on your phone. If you haven't saved me on the phone, save it under Bart. If you forget my name and number, here it is. Bart Inman, the number, it's one easy number, Missouri and Illinois. The only number in Missouri and Illinois is 314-293-2600. That's 314-293-2600 or bartinman.com. That's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless. And Happy New Year.
The IRS definitely ramped up operations since the pandemic slowed them down, and activity only increases from here. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. If you're currently under audit or you haven't paid your taxes in the past, now's the time to call the Lance Story Law Firm. The IRS has a published taxpayer bill of rights which says you have the right to retain legal representation because IRS problems are legal problems, and the Lance Story Law Firm focuses specifically on addressing IRS issues for our clients. It's all we do. We get out in front of the IRS, devise the best resolution plan, and work to make sure you're able to take advantage of every program you're qualified to receive. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure company, call the Lance Story Law Firm. We're local, located right here in St. Louis, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
There's suddenly an open parking spot at Harvard Yard. I'm John Saucier, Fox News. Claudine Gay, the controversial president of Harvard University, sending in her letter of resignation this afternoon following multiple accusations of plagiarism. She writes in this letter that this is, quote, not a decision that I came to easily. Dr. Gay, of course, thrust into the spotlight recently during a congressional hearing about free speech on college campuses following multiple anti-Semitic and Islamophobic incidents at schools around the country. Now, Dr. Gay is the daughter of Haitian immigrants, the first ever black president of Harvard. She's not going to be leaving the university, though. She still have a job there, planning to stay on as a Harvard faculty member. In a statement, New York Representative Lee Stefanik called that resignation, quote, long overdue. Migrant encounters at our southern border hitting record numbers for the first quarter of the new fiscal year that started October 1st. Last month also. Now, a lot of these people are winding up in New York City, where Mayor Eric Adams signed an executive order for when and where migrant buses can enter the city. Republican lawmakers sending migrants instead to nearby suburban areas in New Jersey.
Over the weekend, several buses with hundreds of migrants arrived in New Jersey, including in Jersey City across the Hudson. According to the mayor there, New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy's office tells Fox News that chaperones were on board those buses and helped migrants get on trains headed for New York City. That executive order requires charter bus companies to provide 32 hours notice before arriving in New York City with migrants, and it limits the drop-off window to between 8:30 a.m. and noon Monday through Friday. Companies that violate that order could face a variety of penalties that include fines and also having their buses impounded.
That's Fox's Nate Foy reporting from New York. Police in Rochester, New York, describing the actions of a 35-year-old on New Year's Day.
Avery sped up, crossed into the oncoming lane of traffic, and appears to have intentionally been driving towards the pedestrian crossing.
America's listening to Fox News.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text HIM to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text HIM to 321-321. That's HIM to 321-321.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Partly sunny skies will continue as we go through our Tuesday afternoon. Big old dome, high pressure sitting over us. 45 should do it for our topper today. Tonight, more clouds around 28. Wednesday, lots of sunshine and a chilly 42 degrees. A little breezy northwest wind. Wednesday night, partly cloudy 25, and Thursday, sunny and 38, increasing clouds during the day on Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Don't miss out on limited-time appliance deals during the closeout event at Lowe's. For a limited time, get up to 35% off select major appliances. Plus, get an additional 20% off in-store clearance appliances. Hurry, these deals are too good to last long. Shop in-store or online today, because Lowe's knows deals. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid 12/28/23 through 1/3/24. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. See Lowes.com for details.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
Hi, it's Scott and Andrea at Best Buy Flooring, sounding the alarm for all contractors. Holidays are around the corner and we have in-stock flooring for all of your projects.
Contractor pricing for carpet, luxury vinyl plank, luxury vinyl tile, carpet tile, ceramic tile, and sheet vinyl.
2 locations to serve you, 7301 North Lindbergh Boulevard in Hazelwood, Missouri, and 1851 West US Highway 50 in O'Fallon, Illinois.
Open 7 days a week.
Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy. Best Buy Flooring. Hurry in.
1 in 4 car batteries is weak and needs to be replaced. Let the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts test your battery for free. They can also help you find the best Superstart battery for your vehicle. Learn more at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
I'm Jim Onder. Have questions after being injured in an accident? We'll match you with the Onder Law team that's right for you and your case.
Onder Law. Call 314 or 618-9000 to learn more.
Critical thinking in critical times. This is St. Louis's home for conservative talk. 97.1 FM Talk. Everyone is welcome.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
And welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker. If you want to find me online, Ryan Recker Radio. Always happy when I get a chance to fill in here on 97.1. It's just a lot of fun. I'm playing a dangerous game right now, guys. So, Ryan Wiggins, you may appreciate this. Without kids, I don't know if you will understand this as much, Brad, but I'm playing a game which is how much of my kids' candy can I eat before they notice and get mad at me?
Oh, that's a very real struggle.
It is. It's a tough game because I don't know about you, but my wife buys everything for the kids, nothing for me, ever. So I just have to eat the scraps of what's around. And then sometimes the kids will get something really good. For example, they have these chewy nerds upstairs. Ooh. And it's, they're so good. And this bag of nerds that are like these big chewy ones, I've been going back into it and I kept thinking, eventually they're going to notice. There's a lot less than there was the last time they looked. And how many can I eat before they notice that? And that's the game I'm playing right now.
Is it like the bunches of nerds around the gooey center, like the nerds rope? So this is like a nerd itself that is...
It's a larger than average nerd.
I'm going to have to
it's like
find
the size
this
of,
now because
not
my
quite
wife,
the size of a jelly bean.
My wife is going to be like, Brad, I want these.
Larger than average nerd.
I don't actually think those are that great. Sorry.
I don't know.
I have to depart from you, but we do have a system for this. And first of all, it sounds like, Ryan, I really... abhor your situation because you're living in what I call candy poverty, and that is something that you as an American should never have to endure. But when my kids do Halloween, now they're getting to that age where they're very willing to go for it. You know, they're going to stay out a little later than they used to because they're both. My oldest ones are 9, the youngest one's 6. So the 6-year-old's kind of the drag on the night. If he gets tired, then it's over. But the 9-year-olds, they want to keep going. So we're getting to that age where they're getting a pretty good amount of candy as long as the weather's nice, and it was this year. So they bring it home, and there's no way they can finish off that amount ever, really. Mm-hmm. So they know that they have to. We've come up with a system where they get to pick out about a dozen to 20 pieces of candy, depending on the size, and get to set those aside as their exclusive candy pile. And then everything else gets put into the candy bin. Now, that doesn't mean they can't have anything in the bin. It just means that nobody else can have what's in their personal pile. So...
You're telling me you never robbed the personal pile?
I have not robbed the personal pile except when they've mixed the personal pile in with other piles, which is a grave mistake that my 6-year-old is making and does not know how bad of a mistake that is. But the other two, they keep theirs.
You will live to regret this.
Yeah, they keep theirs pretty separate. And see, my 6-year-old doesn't get the concept that once you set it, that's it. He keeps adding to it. And so I keep taking away from it. So I'm like, you can't keep adding to your pile. That's just an exclusive and never-ending candy supply for you. So we got the general pile, and that is where I take all the candy, and I feel legally fine doing so.
Right. So you're not living in candy poverty.
Right.
So do you guys?
It's
do,
weird
like, the
as an
dad
adult.
tax?
Oh, yeah, I do dad tax. I do dad tax all the time. And I don't even call it a tax. I mean, it's just, you know what? It's life, kid. But I do it when they're not looking. So
Ryan's raising
They
a bunch
don't
of
need to know what I'm
libertarians.
doing.
Taxation is theft, even if it's dad.
yeah, I'm basically a raccoon. So I wait until they're not looking. I, rummage through their things and then take what I want. Get used to it, kid. So I saw there's an article, and people have been talking about this. Axios has a pretty good write-up about it called Generation Alpha. Generation Alpha is basically our kids. It's the oldest is about 13 years old right now, and it's anyone born between the age of 2010 and 2024. So Generation Alpha is expected to be the largest in history at more than 2 billion people. And there's certain traits of them, like they're children of millennials, so that tells you a little bit of how they were raised. Immediate predecessors to Generation Z. They could overtake the baby boomers in the workplace in the future too, which could be pretty amazing. Well, not baby boomers, because baby boomers will be long gone by the time they're in the workforce, most likely. But what I'm saying is that they grew up online, and this is part of the things that make them interesting. Like compared to us, when I grew up, I didn't have the internet, didn't have a computer growing up in the household either, up until, I don't know, close to high school, grade school at some point. And I remember the computer was such a big deal. My parents set it up on the kitchen table because, I don't know where else we're supposed to do it. There wasn't computer furniture that was readily available to people. It's just okay, I guess we're putting this on the kitchen table. They didn't know how to put things together. They had to hire a friend to come in and help them set it up. They don't know what they're looking at, this sophisticated machine. And on top of that, their defining moment was COVID-19 pandemic. And probably their defining artist is going to be Taylor Swift. So I don't know if they put that in the article, but I think that's just going to be true, because the other article is Taylor Swift passes Elvis for the most weeks at #1 on the album charts for a solo artist. I think you can make a pretty strong case that Taylor Swift is one of the greatest musical artists of all time. And I don't want to make that argument, but I think you probably could. Can I say, growing up in the generation I did, I'm glad I grew up in that generation, but does every generation say that about their generation? Do they just hate other generations?
Yeah, to answer your question.
Mostly.
And so I want to address the Taylor Swift thing first, though, because I feel like she may be better than Elvis now. I mean, greater as far as surpassing, but will she ever be better than somebody like Foghat? Point number one. Point number two, I'm really disappointed with the way that we are naming our generations, because with boomer, that's cool because you were a baby boomer and that was a generation. Then we had Gen X. And for a long time, when I was growing up, I was considered Gen X. And I think still I'm very much on the border.
Very much.
But they backdated it to just fill in the time that they didn't have a name. And they're like, well, I guess that's Gen X because it just means nothing, X. Okay, that's not really cool, but okay, that's fine. So they didn't have a name for a generation there after the boomers for a while. Then they kind of reorganized everything and called them Gen X. Okay, so now we got Gen X. So then we got millennials, which for a long time they were calling Gen Y, if you recall.
Yeah, I remember that.
I wasn't a fan of Gen Y because it was just another letter in the sequence behind X. So then they called them millennials. I'm like, oh, good, we got a name. That's a different name. Then they just picked it right back up and started calling them Z. So now they got Gen Z. And I'm like, okay, well, at least we're at the end of the alphabet and we can't go any further. And now you're telling me that they're calling the kids of millennials Gen Alpha.
So they're going to the Greek alphabet.
We're just going to restart this thing and start naming them like hurricanes for the rest of the time. I don't like it. I'm just saying, I want to be on record as saying, come up with a different name or creative name. We're getting lazy on the names by just using letters.
So what would a good name be for the generation, which would be Generation Entitled? Generation, what would be the right type of way to look at it because I don't want to insult my kids.
If
I
you
don't want to look
it,
at them and insulting them.
I really don't care. I just don't want to use the same system to just name the next one. Like, you can call them Generation Fart. I don't care. Like, call them anything different. But if you wanted to get fancy, you could say, like, oh, this is the screen age or the digital generation or something.
I see.
Anything like that would be fine. But I just,
like the silent era,
There you go.
So this would be the screen
greatest.
era.
Yeah.
I grew up on a screen, and that explains so much. But going back to the Taylor Swift passing Elvis most weeks at number 1 in the album charts, I was flipping through the radio driving to work, and there's this one radio station that has throwback R&B songs, and I was listening back to it, and up popped the Thong Song, which came on, and then it followed up with I'm in Love with a Stripper.
I don't remember that.
And
one.
I was thinking to myself, this was like the pop music when I was in high school, like in college and high school. This is what the girls were listening to, and I'm thinking, music's gotten so much better then. Like when I was younger, I thought during that age, man, you got to go back to the 90s grunge stuff and, the classic rock. This is the real music. And then the music they're playing right now is junk. And you know what? As it turns out, I was right. But as it turns out, too, music has gotten a lot better, I think, from the early 2000s compared to what we have out today versus Thong Song was the most popular song. I think we've actually improved music.
It's gotten less suggestive and more overt.
Yeah.
It used to be that the songs, you watch an 80s movie, and I'll watch a movie as an adult now and go, oh, man, there's a lot more
this
there.
Is why Mom and Dad didn't want me to watch it.
Yeah, but it was over my head when I was a kid, and that was the point, is that your adults could watch it and get the jokes, and the kid would not even know what was going on. Now, if you listen to Cardi B with your kids, I think that you might have a problem. Not just with yourself, but with the law. It's you're doing things now that are so over the top that they don't even try to hide it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's go through the lyrics of Thong Song, and you can tell me how actually
tell me. I would like to know.
Coded the lyrics are.
Okay.
All right, let's look at it here.
This is Cisco, right?
Cisco with a Q.
She had dumps like a truck.
Okay.
Truck. Thighs like what? Baby, move your butt. And that's the type of lyrics we're talking about. Write this down. Basically the Beatles, if we're really analyzing it. I think to sing it again, she had dumps like a truck.
Oh, he goes back to it. Okay.
Truck. And it goes right back to it. And then it goes back into the parts where, where the thong.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's pretty straightforward as it goes right there. Yeah. I like it when the beat goes, baby, make your booty go. And I don't know, that says da na, but I don't remember that part.
Don Knotts?
Yeah, Don Knotts. So to me, that's straightforward as it gets. It was still straightforward. Now, even though they were talking about your butt's like a dump truck versus today, which is super sexually explicit, as in if you were to say this out loud on the street, you'd probably get slapped in the face. In this, you'd just get scoffed at. But the other stuff, you'd probably get punched if they were with a guy.
Yeah, well, the difference is we can say the lyrics of that Cisco song on the radio.
Yeah.
There are lyrics right now that you cannot speak without getting hit with an FCC fine.
Yeah.
So that there is a difference. That's not that's I wouldn't necessarily listen to the Thong Song with my kids, but some of that would go over their heads. He's kind of walking the line, because when he does dump like a truck, you're like, oh, I know what that means. But my 6-year-old would be like, oh, he's talking about dump trucks.
Yeah, exactly.
He is. He's talking
but
about
then
dump
when
trucks.
he starts talking about butts, my kids would be like, oh, he's talking about people's butts. And they would be right, because there is no innuendo.
Oh, pop culture and music and all of this has just changed so much. It made me go back and look at some of the Billboard Hot 100 singles list of, the 2000s. And there's so many songs here that I completely forgot about. And there's a lot of musicians that I've completely forgot about as well. But I don't know if I want to go back there. I just feel like in today's world, if you were to say, what would you rather have, Taylor Swift every song in the top 10 or thong song style songs in the top 10, I'd say it's probably better that we got Taylor Swift in every spot in the top 10 right now, because that is definitely a step up of where we were 15 years ago or 20 years ago.
It's a good point.
But isn't she like we started this segment off talking about her as like she's a generational talent? She's,
or at least a generational success.
If you went back to the time of Elvis, there's probably just a multitude of songs that we've never heard of that never made it, that were probably of the same level and quality that the thong song was, even if it wasn't about the same material.
Ooh. I'd like to hear a 1950s version of thong song.
Me too.
Like, how would that go? There's AI that could do that. Where's your fans on Twitter that could open up the Photoshop? Can they do the AI songs, Elvis doing thong song? Is that possible?
They'd probably be about real wide panties. Because that's what they wore back then.
Just take us out, Ryan. There's no coming back from that.
Pantaloons. I'm not Andy Frey, but I'm Ryan Recker filling in for Andy Frey. Oh, no. This really went off the rails.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Frey Show.
So, you got a new gadget over the holidays. Don't forget to listen to your favorite station on Odyssey. Unwrapped a new Amazon Echo or Google Home? Be sure to tell your smart speaker to play your favorite station. Received a new Sonos speaker? Check on Odyssey on the Sonos app for access to hundreds of stations. Got a new phone? Don't forget that the Odyssey app is the only way you can jump to your favorite show with Rewind. No matter what you received this year, listen to your favorites with Odyssey. Download the free Odyssey app today. AUDACY.
Reel in the big one at the best fishing expo in the Midwest. The Let's Go Fishing Show, January 5th through the 7th at the Gateway Convention Center in Collinsville. Visit vendors with the latest fishing boats, rods, reels, tackle, accessories, resorts, and guided services. Shop unique, one-of-a-kind items and top-of-the-line marine electronics at discount prices. Attend free seminars. Meet pro anglers, Bassmaster Elite Series Pro Brandon Polinack, Steve Kennedy, and more. Free fishing pond, too. Visit letsgoshows.com for coupons and more information.
I'm embarrassed to say this. I've been using deodorant on my armpits for 30 years, and anytime I noticed odor anywhere else, I thought I needed another shower, I wasn't clean, or I felt like there was something wrong with me. And then my gynecologist told me about Lumi. It's a whole body deodorant for pits, feet, and privates that controls odor anywhere and everywhere on your body. Since Lumi, I never have to worry about body odor ever again, anywhere on my body. And that reassurance is worth every penny.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code PENNY and get an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack that comes with a solid stick, cream tube, free product of your choice, and ships free with code PENNY. LUMEdeodorant.com, code PENNY for an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack. Love it or return it for free. That's LUMEdeodorant.com, code PENNY. LUMEdeodorant.com, code PENNY. That's LUMEdeodorant.com, code PENNY.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at GSLHonorFlight.org. And for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
You're mobile. We're with you on the radio or on the Odyssey app. Download it and take 97.1 with you, even outside the listening area.
Your home for conservative talk.
97.1 FM Talk. The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Welcome back. I was watching the video feed. I saw the boss came in. Did you get in trouble for that last segment?
Heavily reprimanded. No, they're actually testing for tomorrow morning. A little promo. The Mark Cox Morning Show is going to be live in Jeff City tomorrow, starting at 5 a.m. through 9 a.m. The first day of the Missouri legislative session. They're going to be grilling the lawmakers all there about what is ahead for 2024 and seeing how that lines up with what you want for 2024.
That's great. I wonder how many years in a row has that been? He's been doing that for a little while, and it's such a great show when he goes out and gets access that way. So great stuff from Mark Cox. I'm Ryan Recker filling in, and you probably saw a lot of headlines about Mickey Mouse, Steamboat Willie, now in the public domain, finally was able to expire in the sense it became more public accessible. And of course, the first thing you find is a slasher film of Mickey Mouse out there. There's a few things that we worry about artificial intelligence. They say, one, it's going to create a lot of problems in the future when it comes to privacy. Number two, it's going to be used in a sexual manner. Essentially, people are going to be creating a lot of deep fakes in very compromising positions, and it's not going to be good for our mental health, knowing that at any given time, anyone can put you in any position against your will. And they also look at maybe artistically, their writers had a big strike. The Screen Guilds last year had the Writers Guild, and they were worried that AI was going to start taking place of people's jobs inside of the writing room or aiding writers and taking jobs away from it. So they said, okay, that could be a problem with AI. Artistically, we've seen musicians spoofed in ways they didn't want to be. Drake being a very popular musician that had a fake AI song go out there, become popular, and he's like, wait a minute, that's my voice and that's me, but that's not anything I've done. He took great exception to it. But really, the greatest applications that we use for things in public domain is not problems with AI and things that we can use with it, but it's immediately after a major character is put into the public, then it's immediately used in a horror film. Why is it that's like the only practical application we see? Like these other things that you've seen aren't really happening all that often. It's mostly just like, it's just like a one and done in a lot of ways. But what is almost a guarantee is that when a popular character becomes a public domain and they can't get sued anymore, the first thing they do is put them in a slasher film. I'm trying to figure out why that happens in today's pop culture. Like this, what's so special about the slasher film that's what you want to use these characters for?
Yeah, it's funny because I saw this story about the original Mickey Mouse. So I want to be very clear that it's not all any usage of Mickey Mouse. It's just the original 1928 Mickey Mouse version that the copyright expired on. And I think I saw this only about 3 weeks ago, that it was going to expire January 1st. And then you sent this article today, and I said, even on my show then, I said, I bet what's going to happen is the first thing you're going to see using that original Mickey Mouse is some sort of horror film that they're just killing people in a Mickey Mouse mask. That is exactly what this movie is. It is somebody taking a Mickey Mouse mask, and they were very particular to that Mickey Mouse because you can't use the newer ones. They just got a mask of that Mickey Mouse, and it's just some guy walking around killing people in a slasher movie. I think partly it's that you want to see these beloved. Somebody wants to see these beloved characters like Winnie the Pooh, which is also copyright free now. They want to see them in such a different environment because they've never been able to do that. That's the natural bent. I think it's a cheap one.
It is.
And it also not only cheap artistically, but it's cheap like financially to make a slasher movie. I was going to ask
you that. You've been in the industry.
These are cheap movies. They elicit emotion very, very like easily because just like pornography does, it just sort of like snaps your eyes. And that's what slasher movies do. Knife hits somebody in the stomach, blood everywhere. It just makes you react to it. So it's easy to make them, and they're quick to turn around. So that's why you see them.
People love slasher films. I don't get that either. The type of genre by itself has really stood the test of time, but I never really understood why people are. This appeals to people. I don't know. What's the artistic value of the slasher film? Is it just that you don't have to look too far into it, or is there something about it that's actually really good that I just don't understand?
No, I think that when you talk about not all horror, but slasher horror really is kind of, I'll use the word again. It's kind of like horror porn, where it's the most extreme things you could possibly do. And a lot of this started in the 80s because they were just starting to use not just claymation, but like a lot of live action effects where you'd have people's heads just blowing up, and it's like the craziest thing possible. So if you put somebody in like a frightening situation, I don't know that these are films that are doing that well anymore because there's so many of them because they're easy to make, that if you just have blood spurting everywhere, it kind of makes you react to it. And so they're easy to make, they're cheap to make. Now, I will say that horror has moved into psychological horror a little bit more, I think, in the last 15 to 10 years. And you've seen a lot more interesting things done with the horror genre to make you afraid, but you're sitting there waiting to be afraid. It's like an anticipation of horror rather than the guts and the gore. And I think that's a very good move.
I wanted to, and this is kind of like the type of disaster movies that you see out there. Another major earthquake in Japan, disasters, tsunami warnings, all these other things that hit with it. I mean, we're confronted with so many different real life horrors. I mean, between October 7th and seeing terrorist organizations like Hamas videotape and post their atrocities online of what they're doing to other people for the world to see, and then you can find those videos online. It's like we live in a horror movie, and so why do people want to go to the theater and see that stuff? Because it's like it's right there on your Twitter if you really wanted to look for it and done a quick search, or it's all over the place. CNN, by the way, talking about this Japan thing, I was thinking about the way, let me just play this clip for you because this is CNN's Mark Stewart. Apparently no major issues with their power plants after the earthquake, and there were some worries that we saw last time with, the nuclear plants. Here's clip 10.
Well, Brianna, just a short time ago, Japan's chief cabinet secretary told the country that at the moment, there are no reported irregularities with nuclear power plants, including the one closest to the epicenter. But the U.S. Geological Survey says there have been at least 31 aftershocks from this earthquake, and the damage is still being assessed at this hour.
Okay. Here's the point I'm going to make here. We've known for a while that California is due for a big one. How is this not a sign that California is about to get hit? Because they're so close in proximity between Japan and California. Just if you look at where they sit and way the plates sit and things continue to shift over there, create these earthquakes. How in the world can people sit in California right now watching Japan and not realize that this is going to happen to them soon? Shouldn't this be the biggest warning for America to be preparing for disaster?
Yeah, it is. And I think because you brought up California, I'll say that a friend of mine, good friend, we're actually going to go to Japan in March to visit this friend. I've never been in my life, so I'm looking forward to that. I texted him when I found out about this, and they're 14 hours ahead of us here. So I think I texted him in the middle of the night because they knew by the time they had gone to bed on, I think, New Year's Eve, if I'm not mistaken. So I texted him in the middle of the night. He texted me the next morning, no, we're fine. In fact, most of Japan is so earthquake-proof that it takes a lot for them to see a lot of results. Right now, there's 55 deaths. I'm not minimizing that. But for the level of earthquake that it was, you're right. It seems like we would probably experience that a lot more severe than Japan does. But what they can't predict, and this is for both California and Japan, is, and you can't really build proof against this, is tsunamis. You just can't predict where that's going to be, what that's going to be like, how deep it is, how quickly it could happen. So that's what, and California, as you know, is so coastal. I mean, everything is coastal. And so if they were to get hit with a tsunami, I would be almost more worried about the after effects of an earthquake because they do earthquake-proof their buildings since, I think, 1978 in California. So, there's a lot of buildings that wouldn't be, but a lot that would be. But the tsunami, man, that is devastation beyond what we can even imagine, how quickly that can kill people.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm not really sure. Like, tsunamis, basically the water displaces. It can be an underwater landslide or a shake under the water that moves, basically displaces the water and causes a wave. I don't know what the coastal features are that make places, because there's a lot of coastal areas that just don't have to worry about it. I think it was it the Christmas Day one in Southeast Asia? That one was a landslide that happened underwater that caused it. And but yeah, you don't know. I've never really heard of a tsunami hitting California.
I haven't either.
But I've heard of like them hitting Alaska and places like that, and all that is on that Pacific Plate Ring of Fire, I think is what they call it.
Yeah, I want to say during the last major earthquake that Japan had some problems with, I believe there was a tsunami warning for Hawaii. I want to say, and that ended up being nothing. But the people were worried, but they kept showing the helicopter footage, and there were people that were going out in boats in the water because apparently that's the safest place to be for a tsunami, if you're in the water. certain amount out of the land, that's as actually safer than being on the land. Now, luckily, nothing happened with that. But, they basically sat there and watched a little couple waves come in, but you just don't know. I worry about California. And actually, Wiggins, you going to Japan is actually going to be pretty awesome. People love it out there. They say it's just wonderful.
Yeah, and we've never been. I think the thing that I'm looking forward to seeing is that they say the culture is so polite, which is strange because it's so crowded. So I don't know if that's just a feature of having to be that way because it's so crowded all the time, but it's hard to find, everywhere you go, you are shoulder to shoulder with people, you're fighting crowds, the streets are very narrow. So I'm looking forward to just seeing not only what it's like to live in such a dense metropolis, but also how they handle it by being so nice to each other, because they said there's basically no crime or anything over there either.
Are you going to stay in one of those coffin hotels? It's basically like a bed with walls. You've seen those online. They're essentially these pods that people rent to save money on hotels.
Like Kramer slept in? Is that what you're talking about?
I don't remember that one.
Yeah.
Is that the one where he rented out his dresser drawers for them?
Yeah. No, we're staying. So a good friend of mine is from here, and he's military or former military, and he married a Japanese girl, and so they lived here for several years, and now they've gone back to Japan for about 5 because they're trying to get their kids acclimated to both languages. And he had the opportunity to move back, and so we want to go visit him while he's there because I'm so overwhelmed. Ryan, I've been to a couple other countries, like Quebec, for instance. That's not a country, but it's Canada, and they speak French.
French-Canadian.
And I mean, you get far enough from Montreal, and they do not speak English, and all the signs are in French. I was so overwhelmed by not knowing where I was going, and I knew I couldn't ask anybody, that I get almost paranoid for the first day that I'm in a new place like that. So I would never visit Japan other than having a friend there who's able to basically chauffeur me and show me how to handle everything, because that's the only way I can handle it.
Yep. Well, by the way, just real quick, this will be fun to play going into break. Did you see how Donald Trump spent the new year at Mar-a-Lago? He had a musical guest perform for his guests. Did you hear who the musical guest was that performed for Donald Trump?
No.
I did.
All right, here, let's play it. Tell me if you think this would be your first choice.
Get your hands in the air! It's a new year! Ice, baby! Ice, baby!
All right, Vanilla Ice performed at Mar-a-Lago. All right, talk about a great get. I can't believe he wasn't busy that night.
You know what would have been a really boss move is to show up and not play that song.
Oh, he shows up and he just does like ninja rap from Ninja Turtles, and that's it.
That's it. Just ninja rap 10 times.
Have the turtles come out and dance with him.
And it's a hall, and there's everyone's dressed up in their suits and tuxes, and they do a pan of the hall, and the girls are enjoying it, and it shows Donald Trump, who's standing there motionless, like what's going on with my life? Like, what has happened? Like, he's just standing there straight like a hot dog, just watching this stage.
He didn't do his dance.
He didn't do his dance. No, he didn't do the Donald Trump dance. No, and when the crowd gets into it, you think he would too. But I'm guessing everyone else around him drinks a lot. He's not a drinker, so maybe that could have played into it. But I wonder how much they had to pay Vanilla Ice to go perform that.
Maybe he doesn't like hardcore rap like that.
Yeah, I think you're onto something.
He only likes light rap, and that's just too hard.
Yeah, and where was MC Hammer? I mean, couldn't it be great? Like, tell me if you were at a party and Vanilla Ice popped out and started doing a couple songs, you wouldn't be pumped. I would go nuts for that.
Yeah.
I'm going to share a little fun fact. She's not here to talk about it, sorry. But Vanilla Ice follows Annie on Twitter.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Is that right?
So we should tag this.
All right, we have one more segment coming up. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in on 97.1 FM Talk.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Hi, Chad Hansen from Hansen's Tree Service. Much like the human body, trees require a specific combination of nutrients to thrive. Our certified arborists can come to your property and prescribe the ideal treatment to ensure your trees and plants thrive this coming season. Check us out today at hansenstree.com and take advantage of our winter savings.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
Attention taxpayers. If you or your business owe the IRS back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, the IRS has greenlighted billions of dollars in tax relief to those facing financial hardship through its tax relief initiatives. If you have a delinquent tax problem and possibly facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or already in a payment plan, you may now qualify for significant relief. Qualifying and enrolling in this program could stop all collections, settle your tax problem, and may even reduce what you owe by up to 99%. Call the hotline at Tax Help USA to see if you qualify by dialing 800-210-1005. If you or your business owe at least $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS or state, you can now get the help that you need during these hard economic times. Call Tax Help USA to get your free tax assessment to see what you qualify for by dialing 800-210-1005. 800-210-1005. 800-210-1005.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together millions of things for our planet. This new year, make some resolutions that will improve the environment. Resolve to use less gas in your car. You can carpool to work a couple of days a week, use public transportation like buses or trains, combine errands to make fewer trips, and take a walk for any distances of a mile or less. And think about an electric car when looking for your next vehicle. When we each share our one thing, it becomes 100 things, 1,000 things, 1,000,000 things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Well, that's me. That's the YouTube live chat poll. Did you make any New Year's resolutions? Yes or no? It's a very simple answer, but let us know what your New Year's resolution is or why you don't make those. We're starring those. We'll read those actually in just a few minutes here and give you results of the poll. I'm actually curious to know how many people made New Year's resolutions this year. That's the Annie Frey YouTube live chat poll. It is 2:43. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. Happy Tuesday. We're all back together again. Sue, Fred, Abby, the whole gang is back. We get rolling here in just a matter of minutes.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
When I'm out walking, I strut my stuff, and I'm so strung out. I'm high as a kite, I just might stop to check you out. Let me go on, like I blister in the sun.
I'm really looking forward to hearing the results of the YouTube poll. We'll do that here soon. I'm Ryan Recker filling in. This kind of got swept under the rug, and when there's stories that come out during the holidays, it's easy to forget about these things. But you see the story about how Google had to settle a privacy lawsuit that exposed them for tracking people using quote-unquote incognito mode. It's a mode that a lot of browsers have, where essentially the mode is, hey, we as your internet browser will not follow you and will not track the things you're doing on the internet if you tell us not to. That's what's called privacy mode. And a lot of them have it. Pretty much every single one have a privacy mode, and they all pinky swear to you that they're not actually tracking and logging the things you're doing while on that mode. Well, as it turns out, Google was. They were actually doing it, and they had to settle for a $5 billion lawsuit alleging they spied on people who used the incognito mode in their Chrome browser. Does that surprise anyone that these companies would lie to you and still track you because that's really how they make most of their money?
It doesn't surprise me in the least. I mean, that's how they make their money is tracking you, figuring out what you're browsing so that they can then serve you ads. And then they can go to ad companies and be like, hey, we can specifically target people that make your money go the farthest whenever you spend ad dollars with us. So, yeah, no, that doesn't surprise me.
It does surprise me simply because $5 billion is at stake, and they know that these things sometimes do get caught. But I guess what you're saying is they make so much money doing it that even a $5 billion charge
I was going to say, what's
or the chance at $5 billion, because a lot of this stuff never gets caught, that they would just do it anyway and accept the consequences.
Just curious of how much like Google is worth.
Yeah, and you know what? They might as well get into the blackmail business because now they can say, we know everything that you do. Even when we told you we weren't going to be watching, we know. And if they can pull that card, then it's over. Like anyone that uses Chrome. It's like that one South Park. Didn't South Park have an episode about that where essentially they were going to release everyone's internet browsing history, and that became like a big deal, like it was going to just completely ruin the world. And all the trolls of the world or whatever, they were going to be exposed for who they were. So the class action lawsuit was filed a couple of years ago. Google misled users into believing that it wouldn't track their internet activities using incognito mode. And, it does in a lot of ways. VPNs have become so popular anymore. If you watch a YouTube or you watch anything else, you absolutely know that it's easily trackable online. So there's companies that are specifically out there that try to help you keep your online privacy. So that's, I think, going to be a pretty big raging industry. Furthermore, in the future, I think everyone's going to have to just have some sort of version of VPNs in the future. And I don't know, maybe they're spying on you and we don't know either. You're putting a lot of safety into someone else's hands. And that's the thing I don't like. A lot of these major tech companies, they say, if you got nothing to hide, then what's the matter? And I hate that line of thought and philosophy to say that you need to voluntarily give up some of your privacies in order to prove you're not doing something wrong. And that's a big garbage type of argument to begin with. But these tech companies and a lot of government agencies and politicians operate on the same idea.
Yeah, you don't have to be hiding something nefarious to just not want somebody to know that you're going out of town next weekend or something,
Yeah. Why do you have curtains on your house? Why do you have shades or blinds? What are you hiding? What do you got in there? Probably got somebody locked up in the room. No.
Yeah.
It's just...
Brad, you just put a message to us. Are you telling me Vanilla Ice reunited in Mar-a-Lago with the Ninja Turtles? Is that...
According to that article, yeah.
What? How did that physically work?
Oh, yeah, that's cool. Look at that.
That sounds like the best party ever. Are you kidding me? I don't go out for New Year's. I don't party. But, man, that would have got me off the couch. If you'd have said Vanilla Ice and the Ninja Turtles are showing up, I'd have been like, I'm there, dude. That's all you had to say. Just let me know where you're bringing pizza. You got pizza? Okay, we're good. I'm there.
Man, when that movie came out, Ninja Turtles 2, I think it was, I was at the right age. You probably were about to.
Right there.
Where it was it was the best thing. I was maybe starting to age out. It was probably about 12.
I was going to say, this was right in my wheelhouse.
And you were maybe 10 or something like that. Man, it was designed for us. A 10 to 12-year-old boy, that movie.
Oh, man. I went back and watched the original Ninja Turtles. And it still holds up. I thought it was really good. I mean, like, they're guys in turtle suits, but it looks better than a lot of the CGI stuff that they have now. It's wild.
They're not just guys in turtle suits. They're ninjas. When they they transform. Was Jean-Claude Van Damme one of the turtles or something like that? Was he part of those movies?
I think he was.
No, I don't think so.
He was the Predator.
No.
He was supposed to be the Predator, and they couldn't make it work.
Right.
And
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
For the original?
Predator.
Yeah, the original Predator.
Huh.
That is so awesome. So you're telling me at Mar-a-Lago the Ninja Turtles showed up with Vanilla Ice and Donald Trump wasn't hyped for that? Like, I saw the video. That's a hype moment.
Yeah, I was a Trump supporter, and I might be DeSantis.
Have you ever, Hold up a second. You ever been to a concert and something crazy happened and everyone pulled their phone out and instantly everyone started recording it? How did this not trend on New Year's Eve? For me, instantly, I got to get this out on Twitter, and that should have been the #1 trending thing.
Well, maybe,
how am I just finding out about it?
Maybe it did. You just don't follow Kimberly Guilfoyle. or Don Jr.
Was it Rasim Kassam or whatever his name is?
I don't know. If you don't follow those people, then you're probably just not seeing it.
Going back to this Google privacy thing, I'm a little bit surprised that the Epstein flight log didn't come out when it could be swept under the rug, like at New Year's, kind of like when no one's paying attention to the news. I'm surprised they waited till after when everything's getting kicked back in. I'm giving them credit for that. They should do that. But I keep looking online and like everyone's wondering, where's this log? Where's this log? Not out yet, apparently, but it was supposed to come out any minute now. Let's see. I want the Ninja Turtles so bad. Do you think you can still hire them for birthday parties and things? Like, you know how normally you hire entertainers to come to children's birthday parties? Can adults hire like the Ninja Turtles to show up at like, a 40-year-old's birthday party?
I mean, if you're going to shell out that jack.
If the money's there, yeah.
I know. Did you see that Jack Black is going to be cast in a live-action Minecraft movie? Do you like Jack Black?
I like Jack Black.
Yeah.
I don't know about Minecraft.
No, my kid loves it. He can't stop playing Minecraft. Well, he can. Don't get me wrong, he does, but he loves Minecraft. That game has really persevered over the years. It's been something that's around for a while, and normally people lose interest in games like that, but it's really kept up. Jack Black is one of those genuine type of video game nerd type of people that it makes you happy when you find someone that actually enjoys what they're acting about. As it's not just something for a paycheck. You can tell he enjoys it. I kind of get happy when I see stuff like that happen.
The other thing he probably does enjoy is the paycheck, though.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably a part of it.
I don't know. I think he might. No, you're probably right.
You think he's doing it for free?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Just for fun.
Let's do that YouTube poll. I'm just kind of curious what some of these different reactions are. So the question on YouTube, was it about New Year's resolutions?
Yeah, simply, did you make any New Year's resolutions? Any predictions as to how many? I'll tell you that no one. But tell me the percent do you think said no?
64%.
64. Brad?
I already saw it.
Oh, you did?
I didn't know you were going to read the results, so I was pulling it up to look at it.
It's about 3-1. So it's 76% of people said they did not and will not make a resolution this year. But 25% roughly said that they do. And a lot of those people left comments. I'm going to pull them up right now. Quite a few, actually.
I want to make resolutions that aren't resolutions. I just want to make wishes of things that could happen. So, for example, my wish is that my furnace doesn't die this year. That's my New Year's wish. That's the kind of stuff that I wish for.
Yeah, those are kind of out of your control, which is the opposite of a resolution.
Want a New Year's wish.
Chris says, Happy New Year. Excuse me. Poll says, no, I make resolutions throughout the year. I stopped the New Year's resolutions years ago because I always failed at them. Going down the list here, Thomas says, resolved to only be more like Christ, no resolutions. So I guess that's kind of a no, but still a yes. Joe says, eat more pizza. I'm off to a great start. Vicky,
nice.
Only resolution I made was to live my life, do what I want, when I want, and go where I want. That's quite a resolution.
Living the dream.
Yeah. Russell says no resolution, doesn't make sense to make any of them and then to not do them. So quite a few across the board, but overall it's
my aunt's resolution always was deny myself nothing. That was her resolution. She died way before I was born, so I never met her. But apparently that was the tradition my grandma always said, oh, that's what your aunt's resolution was. And I thought, I don't know if that's a great resolution. But here we are in 2024, and that's essentially how people live.
Yeah, full-on hedonism. My resolution is to do anything I want, whenever I want, for myself and others be damned.
Yeah. If I want to go smash some windows and grab some stuff out of people's cars, then you know what? I'm going to go do it. If I want to walk into a Walgreens and steal some baby powder. You know what? I need that baby powder to feed my kids, so I'm going to take that baby powder. That's basically California's new motto.
Yeah.
From what I
cannot
understand.
think of a more 2024 resolution than that. Whatever, I'll do what I want.
I do.
Whatever, I'll do what I want.
I resolve to ask people to open the cases to the baby formula and the detergent
Yeah.
and then steal it.
I'm about to smash open this toothbrush locked up stuff here in CVS so I can have me a toothbrush.
Yeah. And you know what I want more of? I want more debates where they bring up things like poop maps. And can we ask for more of that from the major networks? You know, that would be a good poll question in the future, too. Who would you like to see debate in the future? What's the poll question you are going to come out with tomorrow? And Ryan Wiggins, you're off tomorrow anyway, right?
I am. Yeah, I had to switch days. I was actually going to come back tomorrow full time, but now I got to switch for watching the kids. But we had discussed, possibly doing tomorrow where the question is something along the lines of, are you bolder as you get older? Basically, if you're a certain age, are you bolder than you were 10 years ago versus 20 years ago? I don't know how you would frame that yet, but I like that idea.
You know what? That sounds like a greeting card you would get, like an old lady, like Pastor Prime. There'd be like an old lady holding a glass of wine. You're bolder as you get older, and it's like that one lady, and she's got cats around her, and essentially you created that one card that they pick up for their one friend inside of a Walgreens.
Mm-hmm. We'll see if we can add that to the poll, the picture of that card.
The picture of that one lady that everyone knows. All right, it was a lot of fun filling in here today. I'll be in again one more day before Andy Frey comes in. And please don't hate me. We had such a weird show today, but I had so much fun with you guys, and I look forward to spending some more time in the future. I'm Ryan Recker filling in 97.1 FM Talk.
At Neovitin, our goal is to create safe, dependable multivitamins to support your everyday nutrition when you need it most. That's why we've formulated Neovitin 50-plus multivitamins with 20 daily ingredients, including B vitamins for energy support, vitamin C for immune support, and Dr. Abicki's 4-ingredient proprietary blend that you won't find in any other multivitamins. Neovitin 50-plus multivitamins come in 2 specifically designed